among all the Samshodhana Mandiras, ADARSHA Shodha Sansthans under the Central Sanskrit University, Poornaprajna Samshodhana Mandira has a unique place because it is maintained by it is in the Poornaprajna Vidyapeetha under the divine leadership of Sri Vishvaprassana Tirtha Swamiji. We have Vidyapeetha, Poornaprajna Vidyapeetha, which is giving from the very beginning to the post-graduate studies, education there. And after that, people come here for the PhD research and all other things. And also we have, as you have seen, publications are our one of the main works. And also we conduct few classes for the benefit of the people. So in that manner, Poornaprajna Samshodhana Mandira enjoys a great autonomy and also the leadership of great people like Professor Sachidananda sir and our Professor Srinivas Varkhedi sir. And I welcome Professor Sachidananda sir to chair this session. And I welcome one of the renowned Sanskrit scholars of India, Sri Satyanarayan Das Babaji Maharaj from Vrindavan. He is, I have not seen him personally, though I have interacted with him on many times in Bharati Vidyat Parishad and also in other forums, and I have been seeing, I have studied many of his works in the Swadeshi Indology and all other things. In that way, he is both spiritual and scholar. That is a very rare thing to see, and he is continuing his great work under the Jiva Institute in the Vrindavan, where he is teaching both Vaishnava texts, Sampradayika texts, and also texts like Muktavali and all other things. In that manner, in this way, he is a well-known scholar, and he is interested in Vaishnava studies, and I request him to present his paper on the not Shadgod Swamis. It was written as Shadgod Swamis, but his topic is something different. It is influence of the Madhva school on the theology and praxis of Gaudia school. And I hope we will be benefited by his scholarly views. And one of my friends now asked, what is Gaudia?
Yeah.
Gauda is the Desha, country, Bangla, the present day Bengal is called as Gauda Desha in our ancient Sanskrit literature. And most of the Goswamijis and the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, they are all from the Gauda Desha. That's why this school is called as Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. And because of their affiliation with Madhvacharya's philosophy, they are called as Madhva Gaudiya Parampara. So, as I have detailed yesterday, philosophy is one. There are many, traditions are many. In this way, there is no much difference between the Gaudiya Sampradaya and Madhva Sampradaya. That's why we have called it as the philosophical discussion about the between the two branches of Madhvacharya's Tatvavada. One person asked me whether Madhvacharya's followers in South accepted they are the branch, whether they are branches. Because many people thought they are the main trunk. Whether they accepted as the branch, because if there is northern branch and southern branch, it means two are in the same line. Somebody asked me whether if all these Swamijis accept southern Shakha as the branch. But as our Swamiji, Vishvesha Swamiji had clearly narrated in yesterday's video, everybody has seen it. It is clear to me, and I hope we will be further benefited in this topic by Sri Satyanarayana Babaji Maharaj. I request him to start his presentation now. And we are sorry we have been little bit late, but we will start now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, fine.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Vandayam Shri Guru Shri Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha. So today's my topic is influence of Madhva school on the theology and praxis of Gaudia school. So as we know that in India there have been many schools of philosophy, theistic, non-theistic, and besides that there are what we call as Sant Matas, like we have Guru Nanak, Kabir, and so on. So we are here talking about the Sampradayas which are based on Shastra, because Sant Mata is based on some particular individual who is very illustrious and has established himself as a teacher. So among the theistic group there are two lines of Advaitavad and Vaishnavas. And among Vaishnavas, generally we think of four main sampradayas. And the reason for that, at least from the books of our Acharyas, is that there is a sloka which is supposed to be found in Padma Purana, although it is not traceable in the present editions. So this sloka has been cited by many of our previous Acharyas, which says Sampradaya Vihinaye Mantraste Nisfalamata Atah Kalau Bhavishyanti Chatvaraha Sampradayinah Sri Brahma Rudra Sanka Vaishnava Kshiti Pavanaha Chatvaraste Kalau Bhavya Hyut Kale Purushottamat Ramanujam Sri Svichakre Madhvacharyam Chaturmukha Sri Vishnu Swaminam Rudro Nimbadityam Chatusana. So these are four sampradayas which are considered as main Vaishnava sampradayas. And here in North India we have some other Vaishnava sampradayas, especially in Vrindavan area. There is Ramananda sampradaya, there is what we call as Gaudia sampradaya or Chaitanya sampradaya. Then there is Hitharivansh Goswami, Swami Haridas. They may not be so known in the south, but they are quite prominent in this area. So these other sampradaya which came to know in existence later on, mostly 14th, 15th century onwards. So generally they also try to associate themselves with these four sampradayas. And I think the primary reason is because these slokas from Padma Purana. So we, the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who are now known as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we align with Sri Madhvacharya. And although there have been many differences of opinion about it, and as Swamiji was asking just now, that somebody asked him if the Acharyas of their sampradaya accept us as a branch or not. The same thing is also within Gaudiya sampradaya, that there are some people who say that no, we are not branch of Madhvacharya sampradaya. Others say we are. So here I propose that we are, a branch of Madhva Sampradaya, and I will give some reasoning for that. So primarily there is proof in the writings from the very beginning days of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And probably the oldest proof, which is actually independent of being a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is by Sri Hariram Vyasa, who is a very famous name here in Vrindavan area, and he was around in 15th century, part of 16th. So he wrote a book which is called Navratnam, and as the name itself implies or says that there are 9 pramayas in this. But in this book, he also mentions about these slokas, which I just recited. But in his Mangalacharan, he writes very clearly, Jayati Sri Madhavare Viryatah Prakaso Babhuva Bhaktimaya Pravinasakil Tamso Mayavadadi Durvachasa. So he is praying to Madhvacharya, who is a yati, who is a sannyasi, and he is the propagator of bhakti. And especially, he fought against Mayavad, which is Advaitavad, which he is called as ignorance. Now, the interesting thing is that this Hariram Vyas was a disciple of one Vaishnava, Madhavadas. And Madhavadas was actually a god brother, what you call Satirtha, of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they come from Madhvendrapuri. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's guru was Sri Ishwarapuri and his guru was Madhvendrapuri. But Madhvendrapuri had many other disciples. Even in our Sampradaya, we have Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu. So this Madhavadas was also his disciple, and Madhavadas' disciple is Hariram Vyas. And he is not from Bengal. He was actually the court Pandit of King of Orcha, which was a state in Madhya Pradesh at that time. And then later on he moved to Vrindavan, where he spent the rest of his life. And being a scholar not only of Sanskrit, but he wrote a lot of Braj Bhasa Padas, which are popularly sung here in Vrindavan area. So even he acknowledges that his guru, who was a disciple of Madhvendra Puri, is actually coming in Madhva Sampradaya. So why I am referring to him? Because he is independent of any relations, direct relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then the other very early pramana of this is the writings of Sri Kavi Karnpur. Kavi Karnpur did meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although he was a very young boy at that time. And it is described that when he was about 5 or 6 years old, when he met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, he recited a sloka in his praise. And therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him the name Kavi Karnpur. So he wrote a book which is called Sri Gaur Ganeshoddis Deepika. And in that he also mentions this Sampradaya. And he gives the list of Acharyas. So he says that Sri Krishna Brahma Devarshi Badarayana Sangyakan Sri Madhva Padmanabha Sriman Rihari Madhavan Akshobhya Jatirtha Sri Jnana Sindhu Dayanidhin Sri Vidya Nidhi Rajendra Jaya Dharman Kramadvayam Purushottama Brahmanya Vyastirthanscha Sanstumaha Tato Lakshmi Patim Sriman Madhvendrascha Bhaktitaha Tatshasyan Srishwaradvaita Nityanandan Jagat Gurun Devam Ishwar Shishya Sri Chaitanya Bhajamahe Sri Krishna Prem Pradhanena Yen Nistaritam Jagat. So this is the lineage which has been mentioned by many of them. And besides that, there are many other works, even in Bengali, Bhakti Ratnakar by Narhar Chakravarti, in Braj Bhasa Anurag Valli by Sri Manohar Das, who was belonging to Sri Radharaman temple. Then Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti, famous Acharya of our school, he also wrote Gorgan Swarup Tattva Chandrika. And then Janki Prasad Bhatt, who was from Barsana, So he visited the Radharan temple in Barsana area. So he also wrote Sri Narayana Bhattacharitam, and he also mentions this linkage. So therefore there is very strong pramana that this Gaudiya school is linked with Madhva Sampradaya. And some objections are raised on that, but we don't have sufficient time for that. I just wanted to mention the pramana on which we believe it to be. And the greatest proof, which is well known, is of Sri Baldev Vidyabhushan, who was a great Acharya and a prolific writer. And in fact, he is the one who wrote Bhashya on Vedanta Sutra called Govind Bhashya. So he also wrote a famous book called Prameya Ratnavali. And in this Prameya Ratnavali, he actually writes in his Mangalacharan, Ananda Tirtha Nama, Sukhmaya Dhama Yatir Jiyat, Sansararnavtaraniyamiha Jana Kirtayanta. So very clearly he writes about Sri Madhvacharya and calls him as Sukhmaya Dham and a boat for crossing over the ocean of this material world. And then he also mentions these slokas from Padma Purana. Then he gives the lineage. So these are some of the pramanas which I consider to be the support or basis for us to align with Sri Madhva Sampradaya. And because we have some alignment, then naturally there must be alignment with some philosophy, although there are definitely some differences in our practice and even in some parts of theology. But there are a lot of things which are common. So I will try to share some of them here. So I divide this commonality in two parts. One is the pramana part, and there is the prameya part. So as far as the pramana part is considered, this is well known that all Vaishnavas, they accept Shabda Pramana. So we also accept. But in Sat Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami makes very clear reference to Madhvacharya in his writing. Tatu Sandarbha is the first of the 6 Sandarbhas, where he is basically giving the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as you can say the essential points of Gaudiya Sampradaya. So in his Mangalacharan sloka, he writes a word called Vriddha Vaishnava, that he is writing this on the teachings of the previous Vaishnavas. And in that he includes Madhvacharya as one of the person who has inspired him, from whom he has taken knowledge. And then when he is doing his analysis of the pramana, so as you may know that in Gaudiya school, the topmost pramana which is considered as is Srimad Bhagavatam. The tradition holds that Prasthantraya is the pramana for all, whether Advaita Vedanta or Vaishnavas. But our Goswamis, on the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they primarily based their theology on Srimad Bhagavatam. So there in Tatu Sandarbha, he tries to establish this first before he does the analysis, and he calls this Sandarbha's original name as Bhagavat Sandarbha because it is actually an analysis of Srimad Bhagavat Purana. And while doing that, he has taken a very big support from the writings of Sri Madhvacharya. And one of the very important verse which he cites in Anucheda 21, which I read, is says, Purna Soyam Atishaya Arthoyam Brahmasutranam Bhartarth Vinirnaya Gayatri Bhasya Rupa Sau Vedartha Paribrahmita Purana Nam Samarupa Sakshat Bhagavatodita द्वादशस्कंद युक्तोयम सत्विच्छेद संयुतः ग्रंथो अष्टादश सहस्र श्रीमद् भागवतामृत. So this is supposed to be from Garuda Purana, but it is again not found in the present edition. And he has actually taken this from Bhagavad Tatparya. Sri Jiva Goswami takes it from there. Then once he has established Bhagavad Purana as the authority, and then he says that how he is going to analyze it. So there again he speaks about Sri Madhvacharya as his one of the primary source. And he writes, which I just read the translation, he says, devotees of Sri Vishnu recount that Sri Madhvacharya Charan, seeing that Sri Shankaracharya did not comment on Bhagavata out of respect for it, wrote Bhagavat Tatparya, a gloss on Srimad Bhagavata that specifies the true nature of the path of pure devotion, because he was concerned that other Vaishnavas might be influenced by the commentaries of other disciples or descendants of Sankara, such as those of that of Punyaranya. So Shankara Jiva Goswami is giving a reasoning that why Sri Madhvacharya wrote Bhagavad Tatparya. He says he did not want that Vaishnavas get misled by the commentaries of the follower of Shankaracharya. So this is what he acknowledges this. And then he actually cites many verses from the writings of Sri Madhvacharya, which he acknowledges in the very beginning. So generally, many times people write, they take from other authors, they don't mention their name, but Jiva Goswami is very clear about it. And he writes there that here in the Bhagavad Sandarbha, I will quote from the Vedas, Puranas and other such scriptures just as I have seen them. I will quote these passages to verify my own interpretations, not the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam. Some of the verses quoted here I have not seen in their original text, but have gleaned from the citations in the Bhagavad Tatparya, Bharat Tatparya, Brahma Sutra Bhashya, and other works by the Venerable Sri Madhvacharya, the prolific teacher of the distinct Vaishnava philosophy of Tatvavada. In his lines, such disciples and grand disciples as Vijayadhvaj Tirtha and Vyas Tirtha have appeared, very famous in the south. They are most eminent scholars of the Vedic literature and its interpretation. So this is very important passage which very explicitly Sri Jiva Goswami acknowledges his indebtedness to Madhvacharya and also mentions two prominent descendants of Sri Madhvacharya. And then he also writes the names which he has not seen himself. He says the text we will cite from the works of Sri Madhvacharya will include portions from such as Vedic Shrutis as the Chaturveda Sikha, Puranic texts from unavailable parts of the Garuda Purana and other works, Samhita texts from Mahasamhita and similar works, and Tantra texts from the Tantra Bhagavatam, Brahmatarka, and so on. So this is a proof that a lot what Jiva Goswami wrote was influenced by the writings of Sri Madhvacharya, which he himself acknowledges here. So this is as far as the Pramana is concerned. When it comes to Prameya, so Madhvacharya had a very great influence on the Prameyas of the Gaudia school. And again, the most visible and demonstrable is the work of Baldev Vidyabhushan, which he writes in his Prameya Ratnavali, where he summarizes that. He says that Sri Madhva Praha Vishnum Paramatam Sri Akhilamnaya Vedyam Cha Vishwam Satyam Bhedam Cha Jivan Haricharana Jusans Tartamyam Cha Tesham Moksham Vishnu Angri Labha Tadamala Bhajanam Tasya Hetum Pramanam Pratyakshadi Tritiyam Chaiti Updeshati Hari Krishna Chaitanya Chandra. So these are the 9 Prameyas which he lists here. And these are also the 9 Prameyas which were mentioned by Hariram Vyas in his Navratna. And then when he closes his work Prameya Ratnavali, he actually cites a sloka, which is, you can say that this verse which I just read is like a mirror image of that verse, which is supposed to be written by Sri Vyasatirtha as a summary of the teachings of Sri Madhvacharya. Satyam Jagat Tattvato Bhedo Jiva Gana Harirenuchara Nichocha Bhavam Gataha Muktir Naj Sukhanubhuti Ramala Bhaktis Chatat Sadhanam Akshadit Trityam Pramanam Akhalam. Which is attributed to Sri Vyasatirtha. So again, I will not go into any of the details. So the other things which we can think of when it comes to Prameya is also the philosophical part. And one of them which I want to speak about is the relationship between Vishesha and Achintya Bheda Bheda. So as we know that this relationship with the ultimate tattva, which we call as Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagavan, and this universe, this world which is visible to us, this has been a thorny issue, and different acharyas have tried to solve it in different way. And I personally think that Sri Madhvacharya has contributed something very unique, only not, and that is the concept of vishesha. So this vishesha is, in simple terms, is where something which is not having difference is manifesting a difference. So this sloka here, bhedhine tvaparyaya shabdantara niyamaka vishesho nam kathita swastu vastu avsheshata. So bhedhine pi ayam anupacharita bheda vyavahar nimittam. That is Nyayasudha Jayatirtha writes that although there is no bheda, but it is the cause of bheda vyavahar. So that is how this vishesha has been defined, and it is like identity in difference. And the problem is because in the Upanishads, in the Shastra, there are both types of Shrutis available. There are Bhed Shrutis, there are Bhed Shrutis, and Shankaracharya just took one side and call everything else as Mithya. But Vaishnava Acharyas have accepted both and try to harmonize them, synthesize them, and give their explanation. Because none of the Vaishnavas say that the world is Mithya. If Bhagavan is real, then naturally his creation cannot be Mithya. So therefore, Vishesha is something which is proposed or propagated by Sri Madhvacharya. And in Vadavali, Swanirvahako Vishesho Nam Padartha Shakti Abhisicyatam. So, according to my understanding, and I have not studied very deeply the works, but whatever I have done my self-study, it seems that this Vishesha is the Padartha Shakti. So this is a statement from Vadavali. And also Raghavendra Swami says Padartha Shakti Riti na tu vastu antaram ityartha. So he also calls it as Padartha Shakti. And then I read the book of B.N.K. Sharma, Philosophy of Madhvacharya, where he cites the following lines from Visheshavada. Ayam vastu shakti vishesho hi abhinnesu api visheshakatvat vishesha iti giyate deep diptyoiva iti udaharanartham ekamev dvayam prabha prabhavat dravyakarena utisthate तथा विशेषो अस्ति चेत हंत तर्हि सैव विशेष शक्ति इति चेत हंत तर्हि सैव विशेष. So he says that this Shakti itself is called Vishesha. So why I'm referring to this Vishesha as Padartha Shakti is that when Jiva Goswami is doing his analysis, especially in Bhagavad Sandarbha, about Bhagwan and his relationship with this world or the relationship of the world with Bhagwan, so he says that Bhagwan has got three types of Shakti. That there is Swarup Shakti or Antaranga Shakti, there is Bahiranga Shakti or Maya, and then there is Tatastha Shakti or the Jivas. And this relationship of Bhagwan with these Shaktis is considered as Bheda Abheda. So this is found in the writing of Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami were two personalities who were directly instructed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Interestingly, Gaudiya Sampradaya has some unique character that its founder did not write any books, nor did he make any disciples. Unlike other schools, whether it is Sri Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Sri Vallabhacharya, Nimbarkacharya. So they all wrote books, they made disciples, they taught them. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not write any such philosophical work. Only some 8 verses are attributed to him called Sikshastaka. But he did instruct Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. And then he deputed them to Vrindavan to come here and establish the school, write books, build temples, etc. So the first book of Gaudiya Sampradaya is called Brihad Bhagavatamritam. And in this Brihad Bhagavatamritam, Sri Sanatana Goswami, when he is discussing about the relationship of the jivas with Bhagavan, so he writes this very interesting verse. He says, Asmin hi bheda bhedakhe siddhante asmat susammate yukta avataritam sarvam niravadyam dhruvam bhavet. So he has very clearly mentioned here that this Siddhanta, which is Susammata, is Bheda Bhedakya, which is same what Sri Madhvacharya says as Vishesha, that Bhedhine api Bhed Vyavahara, or that Padartha Shakti, which makes us have this cognition of difference when actually there is no difference, that unity in difference. So this is Bheda Bhed Siddhanta. And this is the Siddhanta which Jiva Goswami is describing when it comes to relationship between Bhagwan and his Shaktis. Because first he establishes that Brahman or Bhagwan is not Nishaktik Padartha, he has Shakti, and these Shaktis are real. And the relationship of these Shaktis with him is Bheda Bheda. For the basis for this, he refers to Vishnu Purana, which says that Shaktaya Sarvabhutanam Achintya Jnana Gocharaha Yato Ato Brahmanestastu Swargadya Bhavashakte Bhavanti Taptam Sreshta Pavakasya Atoshnata. And while commenting on that, he comes Loke hi Sarvesham Bhavanam Mani Mantradinam Shaktaya Achintya Jnana Gochara. What is Achintya? Because this word Achintya is sometimes a little bit troublesome. So he explains Achintyam Tark Asaham. That it is intolerant of tarka or logic. Means it cannot be explained by logic that how something can be bheda and also abheda. So therefore it says Achintyam Tarka Saham Yat Jnanam Karya Anyathanupatti Pramanakam. But from the Karya we understand that it is there. Tasya Gocharaha Santi. Then he goes further to make it more clear. He says Yadva Achintya Bhinna Bhinnatvadik Vikalpais Chintaitum Ashakya kevalam arthapatti jnana gochara santi. So here he actually nails it down very clearly that what is Achintya. So he says this is bhinna bhinnattvadi vikalpais chintaitum ashakya. You can neither say absolutely that there is a bheda, nor you can say absolutely that it is a bheda, it is both. So I feel that this is basically an explanation of vishesha of Sri Madhvacharya, and the Acharyas of Madhva Sampradaya can correct me because as I said that I have not studied anything under any teacher of Madhva Sampradaya, although I would like to, so that things become more clear. So this Bheda Bhed is the definition of Vishesha, which is given by Madhvacharya and his followers, and then Jiva Goswami adding the word Achintya to it, which basically I would say that Achintya is translating what is Bheda Bheda. But to make it clear that how this Bheda and Bheda is possible, he says this is beyond Tarka. Elsewhere he says that this is Shastraika Gamyam, and this is to be known only from Shastra. He also writes Durghat Ghatkatvam hi Achintyatvam. That's something which can make impossible as possible. That is what is called Achintya. And then he goes on defining the Shaktis of Bhagwan. So this Bheda Bhed principle is basically the gist of Siddhanta and the relationship. And this has been acknowledged in different ways by different acharyas. In fact, even Shankaracharya was referring to it in his Shatpadi when he says, Satyapi bhedapgame nathatna tavaham namamikinastvam samudrohi taranga kvachana samudrastaranga. So there also it is only Bheda Bhed principle, which he seems to accept there. So this is something which I wanted to point out in my paper. And other than that, there are other similarities, such as the kirtan tradition. So as you know that our Gaudiya Sampradaya is well known for its stress on kirtan of names of Bhagwan. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he began it even before he took sannyas. He is known as the originator of this Sankirtan, especially of the names of Bhagwan. So this is also seen in Madhva Sampradaya, that they also have a tradition of dasas, who have written their padas in local language. In Gaudiya Sampradaya, there is a huge Padavali literature which is sung. So this kirtan is a very important part of the practice of Gaudiya Sampradaya. And name of Bhagwan is considered as non-different from him, and he is approached by his name, Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Namaiva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyatha. Sri Madhvacharya also acknowledges this in Krishnamrit Maharnava. He writes, Yadabhyarcha Harim Bhaktya Kritai Varsai Satairapi Phalam Prapnoti Viplam Kalau Sankirta Keshavam. So Sri Madhvacharya is acknowledging here that in Kali Yuga, Kirtan has a very special place. In Mundak Upanishad Bhasya also he writes, Dvapariye Janai Vishnu Pancharatraischa Kevalam Kalautu Nama Matrena Pujyate Bhagavan Hari. So this stress on name, which we have in Gaudiya school, is also mentioned by Sri Madhvacharya. And thus there is some continuity from him to our school. The definition of bhakti, little comparison of that. So the definition of bhakti given by Sri Madhvacharya is Mahatma Gyan Purvastu Sudridha Sarvatodhika Sneho Bhaktiriti Prokta Tatha Muktirna Chanyatha. I think this is also the definition which Sri Vallabhacharya has, if I'm not wrong. So this bhakti has two basic points. One is Mahatma Gyan Purva, another is Sneha, which is Sudrid and Sarvatodhik Sneha. If there is only Sneha, then without Mahatma Gyan, then it can be Moha, as people have here in the material world. And if it is only Mahatma Gyan, then it's only dry knowledge. So it is a combination of both. So one of our Acharya, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he writes this, that this Madhurya, which he calls as Sneha here, is founded on Aishwarya, which he calls as Mahatma Gyan. So Bhagavan, he is described as having two types of features or aspects. One is his Aishwarya feature, where he expands his glories, his Mahatmya, means he is superhuman. Another is his Narlila, that is his sweet pastime, which we call as Madhurya or Narlila. So Narlila obviously is very attractive and very pleasing to the heart, but it should also be founded on the Mahatma Gyan, as Sri Madhvacharya says. So this is very much in Gaudiya Sampradaya also. And one of the most succinct definition of bhakti in our Sampradaya is given by Sri Rupa Goswami, where he says, Anyabhilashita sunyam jnana karmadya navritam anukullena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttama. So it has also got two parts in it. One is Anyabhilashita sunyam, another is anukullena krishnanushilanam. So I think these two things are related to that Mahatma Gyan and Sneha of Sri Madhvacharya. Because only when you have Mahatma Gyan of Bhagwan, then you will become Anyabhilasita Sunyam, because you know that there is nothing higher than him. Na tat samasabhyati kasya drishyate. And then when there is a Sneha, then you will do Anukulya. When you have love, affection for anybody, then you want to please that person. You don't want to do anything which is displeasing, which is unfavorable to that person. That's a natural outcome of that. So therefore, these two aspects of bhakti, that Mahatma Gyan and Sudrid Sarvatodhik Sneha, they are translated as Anyabhilasita Sunyam and Anukullena Krishnanushilanam, which is the primary definition of bhakti or Uttama Bhakti given in our Sampradaya. So therefore, I see some parallel here between the two Sampradayas, or something taking a different color in Gaudiya school. As far as the mantra is concerned, I am personally not aware, but in our Sampradaya Gopal Mantra, we are initiated in Gopal Mantra. So Sri Madhvacharya has also written about Gopal Mantra in his Tantra Sara Sangraha. And as mantras are not written directly, so he writes Krishna Govich Kameto Sodesho Vallavi Janaha Priyascha Tadrisha Swaha Yuk Ashtadas Varnaka. So this is the 18 syllable mantra, and he mentions this here. But the next line is very important. He says Padairangani Sampriti Kama Moksha Prado Manu. Says that this Manu, this mantra, gives you Kama. Means this is what people want, Artha Jigyasu Artharthi. And Moksha also. But beyond that, it also gives Priti. Means something which is beyond Moksha, which in our school we call it Pancham Purushartha. So Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha are well-known Purusharthas. But beyond that is the Purushartha of Prema. And that is the highest Purushartha. So it is also mentioned by Sri Madhvacharya, where he says that Sampriti, Kama, Moksha, Prado, Manu. That means he is actually acknowledging here although he may not be elaborating in it, but at least in a very sutra form, he does say that this Gopal mantra not only gives you moksha, but also gives you priti, which is beyond that. And then in Mahabharat Tatparya also he writes about directly Gopal mantram bhajtam phal prada ekena rupena sabhovya drishyata taccho dutiyena cha surya mandale trityamasi chava pujita vapu. So this is also something which is interesting to note, that there's a relationship, and obviously if there is a diksha relationship between the two, then there has to be a mantra relationship. Mukti, although is considered as the goal by many, but the mukti of Vaishnavas is not same as mukti of Advaitavad. So here beyond mukti also there is bhakti. Bhakti is not just a means, but it is also the sadhya. It is also the end. Means once you get that sadhya bhakti by performing sadhana bhakti, then you continue doing that eternally. So there is no that you now have attained, as example is given that it's a ladder, you reach the roof, then you have no purpose of the ladder. So that is not the view of Vaishnavas. Bhakti continues. And Sri Madhvacharya acknowledges that muktopi tadvaso nityam bhuya bhakti samanvita sandrananda sarupaiva bhakti naiva atha sadhanam. So he says that bhakti is not just sadhana, but it continues. So these are similarities in the practice, in the theology, in the mantra. And there is one more last point which I want to mention, which may be a little bit shocking to the Acharyas of Madhva Sampradaya, but I can mention it. That in our school there is something peculiar. It's also there in many Vaishnava schools here in Vrindavan, that we consider of having a Siddha Deha or a perfected body in the spiritual world and become as associates of Bhagavan. And there are 4 types of relations in which we can have Siddha Deha. That is as a dasa, as a friend, as a cowherd boy, and as a parent in Vatsalya Bhav, and also as a lover. So that is what we call as Gopi Bhav or Gopi Swarup. And this is considered as highest in our school. And this is the ultimate which can be attained by devotion in the relationship of Madhurya Bhav. So there is one teacher or one Acharya in our school whose name was Ram Rai Goswami. He actually comes in the bloodline of Jadev Goswami. I think the 12th in line from him. And he wrote a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra before Baldev Vidyabhushan wrote commentary. And this commentary is called Gaur Vinodani Vritti. In that he mentions this one in the very beginning of his Mangalacharan. He says, Kunje Sri Nandani Rupo Jagad Uddhara Karaka Srimad Ananda Tirthakyo Madhvacharya Samegati. So very strange and very peculiar. He says that I take shelter of Sri Madhvacharya, who is also called Ananda Tirtha, and he is the Jagad Uddhara Karaka, he is the uplifter of the world. And in the Kunja, in the Bower with Krishna, his roop is Sri Nandani. So that how he knows this, I have no idea, but he writes it. But this certainly shows that there is a very strong relationship between Gaudiya Sampradaya and Madhva Sampradaya. So I think with this I will stop. I think I have taken little extra time, so I may be forgiven for that. Hare Krishna.
Our pranamas to Satyananda Das Babaji. I met him at one of the conferences which was hosted by Maitri Goswamiji in Jatipura. Hopes he remembers me.
Yes, surely I remember.
So
I was asking you a Nyaya question.
So I am fortunate that I am having the darshan of Babaji again today, but not Paroksha Jnana, only Aparoksha. Aparoksha Jnana is not there, only Paroksha Jnana is there now. My salutations to Satyananda Das Babaji for giving his thoughts on these subjects. Pranamas to you. And now I request Dr. Maitri Goswamiji to present her paper, her thoughts. Dr. Maitri Goswamiji needs no further introduction. She is the 17th descendant of Sri Vallabhacharya, and she is actually trying to spread the message of Vallabhacharya across the world. And we were discussing about these aspects afternoon, that how it is difficult to spread these messages while being, this constructed manner. So she is really working hard to do that. For that, she has directly came from Gujarat to Bangalore. Now she will go to the Udupi, and then she will, I think she might go to another place where she will be having her presentations. I welcome Dr. Maitri Goswamiji to present her thoughts. Her topic is integrating streams of Krishna Bhakti, Tatvavada and Tadatmyavada of Sri Madhvacharya and Sri Vallabhacharya.
Being a bit offbeat now from what we have been doing since 2 days, we were discussing about Chaitanya Sampradaya and Madhva Sampradaya, while I am here to speak something about Vallabh Sampradaya and Madhva Sampradaya. So, Namah Shri Vallabhacharya Charanabja Nakhendave Kalikalmasha Ghatinyai Tadvanyai Cha Namo Namah. As we heard even from Satyanarayana Das ji and many people who spoke before me, that how these two sampradayas have been associated with each other. And I personally feel that each and every bhakti sampradaya is associated with each other. So there is no doubt about it. No validation is needed for the same. Because as Swamiji said yesterday, that as Bhagavan in Gita ji says that this is a huge Ashwatha tree, and those who know the branches and leaves and fruits are the people who know the Tattva. So Krishna Bhakti is a huge tree, and all of us are different branches with salient features. I have divided this subject into 3 aspects: historical association, and how philosophical association can be seen, and what are the association with regards to the doctrine of bhakti between Vallabhacharya and Sri Madhvacharya. Historical association aligns with Sri Chaitanya Sampradaya because the Vidya Guru of Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya in Kashi was Sri Madhavendra Tirtha. And in the text Vallabh Digvijaya, it says that Madhavendra Yati Tirthat Vaishnava Shastrani Samagrahit Jyotir Mukhad Dyangani Dharma Shastra Dyupangani Kavya Dinicha Agamascha. And there he is introduced as Andhro Madhva Sampradayi Madhavendra Yatihi Shandilyasya Avataraha. So he is acknowledged as the avatar of Shandilya Muni, and he was the one from whom Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya received sannyasa diksha as well. Though the concept of sannyas is not accepted in Madhva Sampradaya, not even in the Karma Margiya format and not even in the Jnana Margiya format. Only the format of Bhakti Margiya sannyas is accepted by Mahaprabhu, in which if a person is deprived of Krishna Seva within his own house and he is feeling excessive viprayog towards Bhagavan, in that case, virahanu bhavarthantu parityago prashasyate. This is what Mahaprabhu has to say. So, exactly, that's the same thing. He is giving the clear reason that karma margiya chaturthashrama rupa sannyas is not applicable in Kali Yuga, as we are not able to follow the same. Same way, the Jnana Margiya Sannyas, though he has not negated the concept, but rather he is saying it is Sudurlabha. A person who would be able to attain sannyas after Brahma Jnana is a Sudurlabha condition in Kali Yuga. So he is not saying that a person is not supposed to do so, but Sudurlabha is the term. And same is about Virahanu bhavarthantu parityago prashasyate. Even there he is saying that a person from Bhakti Marg is primarily supposed to perform worship of Bhagavan Shri Krishna at his own house, not supposed to go anywhere else. But if a person is deprived because of any family or social condition and he is feeling excessive viprayoga towards Bhagavan, in that case, virahanu bhavarthantu parityago prashasyate. This is what he has to say. But exceptionally, karma margi and jnana margi are prohibited. Prohibited. Clear prohibition. Clear prohibition. Clear prohibition. Prohibited. Yeah. So, because this question goes on Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya himself, that why in that case he attained sannyas. So, in his text Antahakarana Prabodha, he is identifying his own self and clarifying this whole historical association, that he was ordered by Bhagavan himself to come back to Vaikuntha as the task given to him for propagating Pushti Bhakti was accomplished. So, for fulfilling the Kriya of Desha Tyag and Deha Tyag both, aligning with the Shastra Agya, he accepted sannyas from Madhavendra Yati, about which Vallabh Digvijay reads that Tato Madhva Sampradayi Bhagavad Anugrahito Madhavendra Yatihi Samagatah Tasya Prashansadi Vidhaya Nivasitah Tanmukhat Sannyasa Dharmaha Shravitaha Purnananda iti Namaha Chakritam. This is how the Sannyasa Guru and Vidya Guru, though the way we were discussing yesterday that Krishna Mantra was attained by Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya from Bhagavan Shri Krishna himself, not from anyone else. So that mantra is identified as Brahma Sabandha Mantra or Atma Nivedana Mantra within Sampradaya, and it was attained by Mahaprabhu on the midnight of Shravana Shukla Ekadashi at Gokul on the bank of Sri Yamuna from Bhagavan himself. Hence his Vidya Guru after Yagyopavita Sanskar and the Sannyas Guru, from he heard the Sannyasa Mantra, was Madhavendra Yati, who belonged to Madhva Sampradaya. So this is the historical association of Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya with Madhva Sampradaya. Now about the philosophical aspect. Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya never claimed himself belonging to any one particular school, but rather he identifies himself as Brahmavadi. And this is the common identification about which no Vedic Acharya can ever negate himself. So after Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya, his younger son, when he is describing the glories of his father, at that time he is describing Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya as Sakara Brahmavadaika Sthapako Veda Paragah. And there that Brahmavad is provided a prefix as Sakara Brahmavada. And that Sakara Brahmavada has been explained by Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya as Sakara Vyapakatvacha. And there he is saying that Nirakarta and Sakarata are the two aspects of single entity, which is Brahman. And when we describe the Nirakarta, the Vedas are glorifying him as Brahman. And when we are focusing upon his Sakarta, then Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is... It means that he is being Sarvakar in the form of universe. I'll get into that point. So, Sakara Vyapakatvacha, so Sakarata and Nirakarta are the two aspects. And based on this shlok, his younger son Shri Vithalnathji is interpreting Sakara Brahmavad as the philosophy of Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya. If we get into the clear explanation given by Mahaprabhu himself, then the primary stand he is taking is in Patravalamban text that because Brahman is Avang Manogochara, hence no Nirukti can ever explain the form of Brahman because there is no one else from whom we can depart his personality. And aligning with the same principle, he is saying that Sarvavada Navasaram Nana Vada Anurodhitat Brahman. And there he is providing a basic ground for all the philosophical schools which are discussed based upon the principles of Upanishads. So there he is saying that alike Andhahasti Nyaya, each and every person is blind because we are not able to understand the personality of Brahman because he is Ananda Tattva, he is Ananta Tattva, and because of that whenever we will try to define anything, whenever we will try to speak anything about Brahman, in that case it will be one or the other perspective of Brahman but not the whole personality. And because of that he provided this primary point that he is this manner, and hence he doesn't even claim that if I am saying that there is the anavasar of Vad, in that case it will be the anavasar of his own Vad as well. And when Nana Vadanurodhi Tad Brahma, in that case if he is becoming Anurodhi towards the Sakara Brahmavad, in that case he is Anurodhi towards all the other Vadas as well, where Mahaprabhu is clearly mentioning the role of all the other three sampradayas, that Bhedaha Paramarthikaha iti Shastram Puraskritya Trivido Bhakti Yogaha Uktaha. And there he is mentioning that just the way I have been ordered by Bhagavan to establish a path of bhakti, in the same manner all the three bhakti sampradayas have also been developed as per the orders of Bhagavan. And all these three are accepting Bheda as Paramarthika. So, Trivido Bhakti Yoga Ukta, Techa Sampratam, Vishnu Swamyanyanusarinaha, from the branch of which Mahaprabhu Srivallabhacharya himself belongs, as in the Itishri of Tattvarthadip Nibandh he writes Vishnu Swami Matanuvarti. So, the family of Mahaprabhu Srivallabhacharya belonged to Vishnu Swami Sampradaya. So, Vishnu Swamyanyanusarinaha, Tatvavadinaha, Sri Madhvacharya, Ramanujascha iti. Evam Chaturvidopi Bhagavata Pratipaditaha. In this manner, he is developing his statement of Sarvavada Navasaram Nanavada Nurodhi Tad Brahma. And Vishnu Swamin Yanusarinaha, the path which has been elaborated by Vishnu Swami. No, yes, Vishnu Swami is a name, but though the whole history of Vishnu Swami is blur, we don't know anything about it. The only thing which we know is that Mahaprabhu Srivallabhacharya's ancestors used to follow Vishnu Swami Sampradaya. They were Gopal Upasakaha. This is what the second thing we know. And the Shaligram, which was worshipped by his family, is still worshipped within the Sampradaya. And also two Vigrahas, which were attained by his ancestors through Soma Yagya of Shri Krishna, are also worshipped. So this is the only history we know. Other than that, what are the tenets of Vishnu Swami Sampradaya? We are not aware about it. And just it that Mahaprabhu is mentioning Vishnu Swami Matanuvarti in his Tattvarthadip Nibandha text. So, Evam Chaturvedopi Bhagavata Pratipaditaha, this is the stand which he is taking, because of which the principle of Bhed and Abhed, they both have been equivalently accepted within the tradition. So, Ekameva Dvitiyam Tad Brahma, this is the primary statement based on which Brahman is the Advitiya Tattva, this is the principle. And when Brahman himself is desiring to create the universe out of his own self, out of that Sarva Samarthya Bhavan Echa of Brahman, the Leelartha Dvaita has been accepted by Mahaprabhu Srivallabhacharya. Upadan Karan. Upadan and Nimitta both. So his principle is of Abhinna Nimitta Upadan Karana. So there he is in this manner when he is establishing Tadatmyavad, that Tadatmyavad has the aspects of Dvaita and Advaita, both the principles, where Advaita has been provided a prefix of Swabhavik Advaita of Brahman, and the Dvaita is not Mithya, and hence it has been explained as Leelartha Aichika Dvaita based on the Sutra Lokavattu Leela Kaivalyam. So the bhed which has been created by Brahman, it is just like patishcha patnishcha abhavat, it is self-splitting procedure in which Brahman out of his sadansha is creating universe. Out of Chaitanya, he is creating the Jivatmas. Bhed with Jivatma is real, it is true, Satya. And all the Jivatmas are considered as Ansha of Brahman. And they are Anu in the Parivan. And they are the Swabhavik Das of Bhagavan. There is no doubt about it. And after that, the Anand attribute is exclusively assigned to Brahman and no one else. So the Jivantaryami, which are there along with the Jivatma within our body, that Antaryami is coming out as the Ansh of Anand attribute of Brahman. But that Antaryami is also not Purnananda, but rather Ganitananda. So just the way Anandavalli is explaining the matra of Ananda from Manushya until Prajapati, and there it is saying that now we are not able to count the Anand. In the same manner, that relation of Anvay and Vyatirek of Brahman with everything has been accepted by Mahaprabhu. So Brahman is Anvita through Sadansh and through Chidansha with Jad and Jivatma both, while he always remains Vyatirikta from everything as a spectator, as the one who is enjoying his creation. So what I personally feel is that Mahaprabhu, in spite of accepting this type of Advaita, he is making a statement that Sayujyetu Rasadikyam Bhedena Anubhavat Sada. So there he is saying that in spite of accepting Abhed, I personally feel that if a person wants to enjoy Bhakti Ras, in that case, Bhed is better. So when he is making this statement, there are many more statements from Vallabhacharya associated with this type of his theology, where he is saying that Jivatma should always remain different from Bhagavan, because of which the concept of Sayujya Mukti has not been appreciated by Mahaprabhu Vallabhacharya, where a Jivatma is supposed to be in the eternal service of Bhagavan, even if he is in this world and even after he attains Vaikuntha Loka. So he needs to remain different from Bhagavan, he desires to be the same, and then he enjoys the Bhakti Ras of Bhagavan, and because of this we align with Chaitanya Sampradaya on this particular tenet that Bhakti is Pancham Purusharth. It cannot be under the bracket of Mukti Purusharth, not also in the bracket of Dharma Purusharth, because the origin of Bhakti as per Mahaprabhu Shri Vallabhacharya is accepted from the Atmarati of Bhagavan. And the Adidaivik Shakti of that Atmarati is Sri Radha. So that Atmarati is there within Bhagavan and he likes to share that Atmarati with his devotees. So as the creation of Jivatmas has been explained in Bhagavad Gita, Dau Bhuta Sargau Lokesmin Daiva Asura Evacha. So there Mahaprabhu says that Daivi Jivas are the grazed Jivatmas who have been chosen by Bhagavan for attaining devotion. And Bhagavan shares his Atmarati with those Jivatmas, and by sharing that Atmarati, we generate the sentiment of Bhakti towards him, because of which Bhakti doesn't remain sadhan, but Bhakti itself is a fruit which has been provided by Bhagavan, because of which we primarily say that this Bhakti is Pushti Bhakti, where the term Pushti. In the Sayujya, in Sayujya Mukti, a Jivatma will become one with Bhagavan. Yeah, they are in the same tree. Yes. Yes. But about the Sayujya of Advaita. Yes, yes. Even we have the concept of Sayujya in a different manner. Sahayujyate has been explained by Mahaprabhu in both the manners. One is that the Chaitanya of Jivatma becomes one with the Anshi Chaitanya of Brahman. And secondly, that Jivatma will stay within a compartment in the body of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, and he would be enjoying the Aganitananda of Krishna being there. Yes, these are the two definitions of Sayujya. Just like the Jnana Margis attain Mukti in Akshara Brahma. Yes, alike Jnanis and the devotees. No, Mahaprabhu is not even appreciating that aspect. That is negated. Mahaprabhu is not even accepting and not even appreciating that type of mukti. Yes. So, to go with the shloka where the tenets of Madhvacharya have been explained, Harihi Parataraha Satyam Jagat Tattvataha Vedaha, I am trying to align the vachan of Mahaprabhu Shri Vallabhacharya with what this conclusionary statement from Madhva Sampradaya has to say. Harihi Parataraha, there Mahaprabhu says, Parabrahma tu Krishnohi, Prameyam Harirevaikaha. Satyam Jagat, there Mahaprabhu says, Prapancho Bhagavat Karyaha, Avarasya Prapanchasya Sattvat Traikalikatvat Brahmatvam, Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asit, Yadida Kincha Tat Satyam, Ityachakshata iti Shrutehe. With this, he accepts the Jagat to be Satya. Tattvataha Bhedaha, there he says that Bahusyam Prajayeya iti Viksha Tasya Yabhut Sati. This Dvaita is coming out of Leelartha Ichha of Brahman. Therefore, Leelartha Aichika Dvaita, this is how Mahaprabhu is explaining the format of Dvaita and the purpose of Dvaita. Tad Ichha Matrataha Tasmad Brahma Bhutansha Chetana Srishtyadau Nirgataha Sarve Tad Ichhaya. Karyapi Bhedanam Anantyam. So, Ananta Karya Bhedaha, this has been accepted. They were one. They were one. Vallabhacharya. Yes. They were one. Swabhavik Advaita has been accepted before the universe was created.
One means whether they are really residing in God's body or
In the this has been explained as that when the Srishti is in Karan Avastha, at that time, in the Sadansh of Brahman, the potentiality of creating universe resides. In the Chaitanya Ansha of Brahman, the potentiality of creating Ananta Jivatmas reside. And they, in that format, they remain one. But in this case, Mahaprabhu is not accepting Swagat Bhed.
Swagata Bheda is okay, but at that stage, Jiva really exists or not?
It exists. But not with,
As different from
no,
Brahman or?
no, one with the Chaitanya of Brahman.
No, he may not exist as separate from Brahman, but different from Brahman at the same time.
No.
As Vishishta takes
No, 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 not even like that. Not like that. Not like that. Not like that. Because Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat, in this case, even Sadansh and Chidansh are not splitted out of the Ananda attribute of Brahman. Yes. So, in
But Jivansha is always different from the Brahman. And how one thing that is identical with Brahman can become different from Brahman? That is the Leela.
the purpose is Leelartha Ichchika Dvaita. Just like a mother gives birth to a child out of her own body. So, just the way,
There also mother and child are different.
yes, after the creation, universe and Brahman are different.
Even before delivery, in the womb itself, they are different.
But in the form of the cell, it is not different.
Can you say that?
I mean, before the child has been created, using the sperm, before that, when a mother has the potentiality to bear a child in her body, in the form of that potentiality, all the Karya Srishti is there. So, the Siddhant of Avirbhav Tirobhav has been accepted by Mahaprabhu for explaining this whole procedure.
This explanation of the material part of child production. Don't you think of the soul in the body of child?
The Jivatma,
Jivatma is soul.
yes,
Jivatma is soul.
see, Jivatma is soul, but the potentiality of bearing that creation within herself, so exactly in the form of, I mean, I am not trying to interpret the whole example, but what I mean is that when Brahman has the desire of Sarva Bhavan Ichha, that now I am only one and I want to become two, I want to create something out of myself. At that time, the Chitta Shakti and Sata Shakti are not coming from anywhere else, but rather they are within the Ananda Shakti of Brahman, that potentiality, that desire. Now that after Bhagavan desires to create, at that moment, that Ananda Shakti is being splitted in the form of Sata Shakti and Chitta Shakti, and out of those, Ananta Karya Padartha are coming into existence. This is the procedure. And Again, Prag Bhav is also not there, Pradvansa Bhav is also not there, but it is Avirbhav and Tirobhav. Just the way, even if we destroy a pot, even at that time, in the Karan form, the pot always remains existent. In the same way, because of that, even after the Pralaya, this universe is not supposed to be said as Asat Padartha. So, Traikalika Bhav is not possible. What I mean is.
Is applicable to only material things. Beyond material things, any sentient thing.
About the Jivatma, Mamaivansho Jivaloke Jiva Bhutaha Sanatanaha, this is true. But that Jivatma remains in the form of Chita Shakti of Brahman, not as a Karya Padarth. And about the Vaikuntha Srishti, which is the Nitya Srishti of Bhagavan, it remains within the Anand of Brahman, and that Anand is nowhere going. So it is not even being created, not even being destroyed.
Correct. You follow your Madhvacharya.
Yes, obviously. Obviously.
That way, not now, but I want to see exact sentence is what Mahaprabhu told.
Definitely. So this is the statement from him when Tattvataha Bhedaha is being explained as Bahusyam Prajayaya iti Viksha Tasya Yabhut Sati Tad Ichha Matrataha Tasmat Brahma Bhutansha Chetanaha. This is what Mahaprabhu is writing in Tattvadip Nibandha. And to defend this stand, he is saying Srishtyadav Nirgataha Sarve Tadichaya Visfullinga Ivagnestu Sadanshena Jada Api. Even they Tayoho Vedaha Anantaha Jada Vedaha Ananta Tena Visheshato Navaktavya iti Bhavaha Karyapi Vedanam Anantyam. This is about Jagat, creation of Jagat. About Jiva Ganaha Harehe Anucharaha, there he is clear that Sevakanam Yathaloke Vyavahara Prasidhyati Tatha Karyam Samarpyaiva. This is the order for a devotee who has offered himself in the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Nichocha Bhavam Gataha, when about the Mukti Taratamya as well, Mahaprabhu is very clear that devotees and non-devotees, they attain different type of muktis. They don't, all the Jivatmas don't attain mukti in Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So, yes.
Muktas having the same kind of ananda again.
Taratamya asti.
And Taratama between God's ananda and Jiva's ananda.
Obviously.
But when God himself is the Jiva,
He doesn't attain Jiva Bhava.
in the moksha,
When
Brahman himself is emanating from Sat Shakti of the Brahman. Means Jiva was Brahman before.
no, he was not Brahman before. Because
Then you are accepting Bheda then.
yes, as I said that Abhed is a Swabhavik Advaita which is there within Brahman with everything that are remaining within Brahman in the form of potentiality to create.
Is there a difference between Brahman and Tasya Shakti? If
No.
that clarity is there, then I think these doubts will be clear.
Tadatmyavad is accepted for the Shaktis of Brahman, also for the creation which is created. So for example, Avidya Shakti, Maya Shakti, Pushti Shakti, whatever the type of Shaktis are, they share Abhed with Brahman.
It is like Satkaryavada.
Yes, Satkaryavad is acceptable. See, the only thing is that
Anyway, this term Swabhavika Advaita is not very clear.
it is clear,
Whether it leads to non-existence of Jiva.
no, it doesn't lead to non-existence of Jivatma.
Before creation.
Even before creation.
Advaita means numerically one. Numerically one.
So Brahman is one, Ekameva Dvitiya Tattva.
Yes.
Yes.
If you talk of Swabhavika Advaita, there is nothing else apart from Brahman.
Yes. When the Srishti has not been created, at that time there is nothing else apart than Brahman.
Even after that,
Even after that, when he is creating the universe,
he can't create. There can be only illusion.
no, what I am trying to say is that when he desires to create the universe, at that time he is self-splitting.
That's their position. That is their position.
Yes.
Debate about it, but that is
Debatable.
Obviously, it is debatable. I don't mind. But what I am saying is that Mahaprabhu is explaining this thing in this particular way, that when we are saying Brahmanda Purusha, so in the under, the universe is there. Just like a mother carries the child in the womb, so it is self-division. He is not dividing any other object. He is dividing his own self into multiple forms. In the form of Jagat, also in the form of Jivatma, in the form of Devatas and everything. And the Taratamya of Ananda always remain. Other than Bhagavan, no one is attributed as Aganit Ananda. Other than Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Not even the Devatas, not even the Jivatma, not even the beings who attain Mukti in Vaikuntha, and not even the Vaikuntha Srishti as well, which is Nitya Srishti of Bhagavan. It also doesn't carry the Anand which is equivalent to Parabrahma Shri Krishna. So that division always remains, that distinctness always remains. So, Mukti, Nichocha Bhavam Gataha, there Mahaprabhu is clear that devotees and non-devotees, they don't attain same type of Mukti. So, they have been attributed as Maryada Jivas, those who don't attain Mukti through Bhakti, but rather through Karma Marg or Jnana Marg. So, they don't attain Parabrahma Bhagavan Shri Krishna, but rather they get Mukti as per the rules mentioned in the Shastra. When it is about attaining Mukti in Bhagavan, at that time only the devotees are Adhikari. That too with the Pushti Shakti of Bhagavan, not based upon their Sadhan Bal. So, through Sadhan Bal, even Bhakti, therefore, Bhakti has not also been entitled as Sadhana, because we are not able to attain Bhagavan until he doesn't desire to become fruit on his own self. Muktihi Nijasukhanubhutihi, there he has divided this, he aligns with what Madhvacharya ji has to say, that whenever a Jivatma is provided Mukti, that Mukti is attained through Vishvaprassana, not through the sadhan a person is following on his own. And there he is attributing Vidya and Avidya, both Shaktis, to Bhagavan. These both Shaktis, they don't belong to Jivatma, but rather they belong to Bhagavan only. Amala Bhakti Chatat Sadhanam. Here about the definition of Bhakti, Madhvacharya and Mahaprabhu, they both are quoting the same definition. Mahatmya Jnana Purvastu Sudradaha Sarvatodika Sneho Bhakti Taya Mukti Nachanyatha. So Bhaktya Tvananyaya Labhya is the clear stand. Akshadi Tritayam Hitat Pramanam. Here also Pratyaksh Anuman and Shabda Praman have been accepted by Mahaprabhu Shri Vallabhacharya. Just because the discussion of Prasthana Trayi was going on since yesterday, so I wanted to clarify this one thing, that Mahaprabhu is not accepting the procedure of Prasthan at all. So there was a question in the morning from a student that if a person is not reading Brahma Sutra, how would he be able to attain knowledge only by reading Bhagavat or only by reading Gita? So there Mahaprabhu is very clear about his position that the Pramana Paddhati within Shabda Praman has been divided into two stages by Mahaprabhu Shri Vallabhacharya. One is Jigyasa Kalin Pramana Vyavastha, and the second one is Brahma Jnanottara Kalin Pramana Vyavastha. So when it is Jigyasa Kalin Pramana Vyavastha, at that time he is saying Vedaha Shri Krishna Vakyani Vyasa Sutrani Chaivahi Samadhi Bhasha Vyasasya Pramanam Tat Chatushtayam Uttaram Purva Sandeha Varakam Parikirtitam Aviruddhantu Yatvasya Pramanam Tacha Nanyatha. So all these four texts, Ved, Gita, Bhagavat, Brahma Sutra and Jaimini Sutra, they need to be aligned. And a person in his Jigyasa Kal needs to get the principles of all these five texts and get into one particular conclusion, not alone based on any one scripture. And once a person has attained Brahma Gyan, that Uttar Kalin Pramana Vyavastha goes with Shabda Eva Pramanam. Each and every term will glorify Bhagavan himself, just the way Sri Madhvacharya is saying that each and every term technically explains Vishnu only. And there he is considering the Pramanya of Ramayana, Mahabharata, Pancharatra and all the other texts, whatever Shastra Samuchaya we have. And ultimately when we are, when Srimad Madhvacharya is saying that Akhil Amnaya Eko Vedyo Harihi, there even Mahaprabhu is clear that Prameyam Harirevaikaha, Bhagavan Hari is the only Prameya. And that Prameya itself has been explained in various Shastras in various forms. So there Panchatmakam Dvirupancha Sadhanair Bahurupakam Svananda Dayakam Krishnam Brahma Rupam Paramstumaha. So in the Purva Kand of Veda, Yagyarupa Hari has been explained. In the Uttarakand, Brahma Tanuhu Pare has been explained, and Avatari Harihi Krishna Sri Bhagavata Miryate. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna is not merely an avatar, but he is an avatari Purush. He has been glorified in Bhagavat, and that's why even in other Puranas other than Bhagavat, Suryadi Rupadrak Brahma Kande Jnananga Miryate Puraneshwapi Sarveshu Tattadrupo Haristatha. This is how he is aligning the Praman Vyavastha and Prameya Vyavastha. So ultimately, based on these all propositions about the theory of Bhagavat Prasad or Bhagavat Kripa for the attainment of Mukti, Mahaprabhu and Vallabhacharya, they both are aligning upon the same principle, because of which in the Athato Brahma Jigyasa, the Bhashya, Madhvacharya is saying that only for the attainment of Bhagavat Kripa, this Jigyasa is being done for understanding the form of Bhakti. And even Mahaprabhu, after all the philosophical exercise, he ultimately gets into the conclusion that Atastu Brahmavadena Krishne Buddhir Vidiyatam. Understand Bhagavan, and that is the only purpose. And what is the purpose of all the glorifications which has been done in the Shastras? Even there, Mahaprabhu is saying that all these exercise has been done ultimately for explaining the form of Bhagavan. The most important thing which I wanted to mention here is a statement of Mahaprabhu from Jalabhed, where again he is providing a common ground for all the Bhakti Margi Acharyas, where he is saying that Purna Bhagavadi Yaye Shesha Vyasagni Marutaha Jada Narada Maitadas Te Samudraha Prakirtita Loka Veda Gunair Mishra Bhave Naike Harer Gudan Varnayanti Shamudrastik Sharadya Shat Prakirtita. There he is explaining the. Yes. Purnaha Bhagavadi Yaye Shesha Vyasagni Marutaha Jada Narada Maitradhyaha Te Samudraha Prakirtita. So there he is explaining 20 types of Bheda of water, and giving the examples of 20 types of water, he is explaining 20 types of Vakta, where ultimately he is giving the examples of these rishis by saying that these are the Samudra of Amrit. Amrito the Tulya Vakta. So there he is saying that Gunatitataya Shuddhan Satchidananda Rupinaha Sarvaneva Gunan Vishnoho Varnayanti Vichakshanaha Te Amritodaha Samakhyataha Tadvak Panam Sudurlabam Tadrashanam Kvachid Vakyam Dutanam Iva Varnitam Ajamila Karna Navat Bindupanam Prakirtitam. And here in the commentary of this verse, as the avatar of Maruta, Mahaprabhu is writing Madhvacharya. So all the four acharyas who have propagated Bhakti Sampradayas, there he is saying that the vachan of all these acharyas are like Amritapan, and a person who attains even one bindu of Amrita would be attaining the Bhakti of Bhagavan. So here I am trying to just clarify the point that when Mahaprabhu is providing this ground of Sarvavada Navasaram Nana Vadanurodhi Tad Brahma and Evam Chaturvidopi Bhakti Margaha Bhagavata Pratipaditaha. So there he is accepting the Bhed as explained by all the Acharyas. Also the Abhed as explained in Aitadatmamidam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat, even that position. And based on that, whoever are following the path of Bhakti through the understanding of Brahman are being appreciated and are being taken upon the same ground, including Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the avatar of Narada, and including Madhvacharya as the avatar of Maruta, and Sri Ramanujacharya as the avatar of Shesha. So, sorry, Agni is himself. He is identifying himself as Agni avatar. Yeah. Narada avatar. Narada avatar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the avatar of Narad, and Madhvacharya as the avatar of Maruta, and Agnya avatar as his own self, and Shesha avatar as Sri Ramanujacharya. Obviously. So, yes? Mahaprabhu has not provided any vachan for this, but he is writing in Jalabhed, his own text. And he is interpreting that all these are Nitya Mukta beings, devotees. And as the avatar of these Nitya Mukta beings, we have these Acharyas who are propagating the path of bhakti as per the orders of Bhagavan. So, evam chaturvidopi bhagavata pratipaditaha, this is how he is saying, including his own self and all the other Acharyas. So, I would like to conclude with these remarks. बुद्धि प्रेरक कृष्णस्य पाद पद्मं प्रसीदतु ध्याना समर्थ जीवानां अस्माकं सर्वदा स्वतः श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु.
Thanks to Maitri Goswamiji. She has traveled across from Ahmedabad to participate in this seminar. I told that she is next, and next step we don't know where she is going. She must be presenting paper in something. Yeah. So next, I request Chaitanya Desai to present his paper. Chaitanya Desai is disciple, pupil of Narayana Acharya from Tirupati, and he is studying Shastri there in second year. Shastri in Dvaita Vedanta. I request him to conclude his paper within 12 minutes, 10 minutes.
From which Sampradaya? Yes, Gaudia. But all the Desais must be Maharashtra or Karnataka only.
Desai is from Gujarat also.
Morarji Desai is from Gujarat. These are the same people they have migrated to.
Yeah, he's a good. Yes.
They are all from Maharashtra and some people went to.
Acharya, you claim that universe is from Maharashtra.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. So, I would like to very much thank my Acharya, Narayana Acharya, to give me this wonderful opportunity to speak something. So whatever, currently I'm in second year of Shastri, and I'm very fortunate that in whole world actually there is only one university, National Sanskrit University in Tirupati, that offers Dvaita Vedanta as a degree, as a Shastri degree. Nowhere else they like offer. Dvaita Vedanta is not.
Now CSU is offering in Puri campus.
Puri campus and
It's offering. Oh,
This
that's
year.
good.
and
From
then
this
they
year.
are-
Okay, that's new. So, yeah. So Narayana Acharya has like ordered me to speak something, whatever I have learned by his guidance. So when I just first time when I saw the poster, that time the Madhvacharya is like raising hands, and he is chanting the names of the Lord. So like in our first semester, we were studying Mahabharata Nirnaya, and at that time I found a very, like, of course in Dvadasha Stotram that is there, the description that he tells that we have to raise our hands and chant the names of the Lord. In Mahabharata Nirnaya also he himself writes this, Satyam Satyam Punas Satyam Uddritya Bhujamuchyate Veda Shastrat Param Nasti Na Daivam Keshavat Param. So he tells that again and again with both raised hands we have to tell that Hari Satyam, and that there is no Shastra superior to the Vedas, there is no God superior to Keshava. So this was a very, just wanted to share this thing. And my topic is basically theological foundations of Gaudiya Vaishnava Darshan. So in Gaudiya Vaishnava Darshan, the very theological foundation is Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana. And all the Gaudiya Acharyas, they repeatedly they mention Madhvacharya in their writings again and again. And like for example, we have Baldev Vidyabhushan, who in his Pramay Ratnavali has extensively, like first of all, he has offered his obeisances to Madhvacharya. Then he tells how the Gaudia Sampradaya it belongs to Madhva Sampradaya only, and thus we are an authentic Vaishnava Sampradaya. And further, then he starts to state the Madhva's 9 Pramayas, and those, like the very first 6 Pramayas, they explain about the Sambandha Jnanam. And the 7th one, it explains about Prayojana, and the 8th Pramaya, it explains the Abhideya, and the 9th Pramaya is about Pramana. So in that way, he explains those Pramayas, those 9 Pramayas through the Gaudiya perspective, like that, and very beautifully he has actually explained that. Even the Goswamis, they have repeatedly mentioned Madhvacharya in their teachings. Jiva Goswami, in his Tattva Sandarbha, he just he tells that Madhvacharya has quoted these references, so without any further like research or cross verification, I just accept it as it is. And in that way, all the Goswamis, they show a lot of adoration, and they repeatedly quote Madhvacharya in their teachings. So even when Baldev Vidyabhushan is commenting on he's writing Pramay Ratnavali, so again and again I just found there is so much of similarity, and he has taken a lot of the concepts directly from Madhvacharya. So in this speech, I will just try to show some similarities between how Baldev Vidyabhushan has taken all of the things from the different Sarvamula Granthas of Madhvacharya. So the very first Prameya is, like first of all, he starts with Uddeshya, or just enumeration of the Prameyas. Shri Madhva Praha Vishnum Parataram Akhilamnaya Vedyam Cha Vishwam Satyam Bhedam Cha Jivan Haricharana Jushas Taratamyam Cha Tesham Moksham Vishnavangri Labham Tadamala Bhajanam Tasya Hetum Pramanam Pratyakshadi Trayam Chetyupadishati Hari Krishna Chaitanya Chandraha. So these all 9 Pramayas are also directly accepted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, this topic yesterday also Pundarik Goswamiji briefly explained, and today also Satyananda Das Babaji also explained about these 9 Pramayas. But I just wanted to give some more references, exact references from like how Baldev Vidyabhushan, when he is commenting on them, and from which Sarvamula Grantha we can take the similarities, or we can take the first of all the thing that whatever the references are there in Sarvamula Granthas, and through that only Baldev Vidyabhushan has actually quoted from there. So I have just done some attempt. The very first Prameya is about Vishnu Paratamatvam, and in Madhvacharya's, like in all the teachings, like even Mahabharata Nirnaya or Vishnu Tattva Vinirnaya, in Vishnu Tattva Vinirnaya Tritiya Parichedaha, there he writes Varjita Sarva Doshairyo Guna Sarva Samurtiman Swatantro Yadvasha Sarve Sa Vishnu Paramo Mataha. So Lord Vishnu is free from all defects, and he is totally he's equipped with all auspicious qualities, and he is Swatantraha, and there is no one superior than Lord Vishnu. Again in the Tritiya Adhyaya, the Shloka 4, so there he writes Na Hare Paramo Na Hare Sadrishaha Paramaswatu Sarvachidatmanat. So this is from Dvadasha Stotram, correct? Yeah. And in that way there are many more references where he establishes the Hari Sarvottamatvam. Even in Mahabharata Nirnaya, the very first 3 chapters which establish the main Madhvas, the tenets of the Dvaita Siddhanta. So repeatedly he states. And in Pramay Ratnavali, when Baldev Vidyabhushan is commenting on this, he is quoting Mahabharata Nirnaya to explain that Lord is freed from the Swagata Bheda. Nirdosha Purna Guna Vigraha Atmatantro Nischetanatmaka Sharira Gunaischa Hinaha Ananda Matra Karapada Mukhodaradi Sarvatra Swagata Bheda Vivajita. He just exactly quotes this verse. And even in the very first chapter of Mahabharatatma Nirnaya, when Madhvacharya explains about the Srishti, so that is Shuddha Srishti and Vishesha Vapti Rupa Srishti and Mishra Srishti and Kevala Srishti. So there, when he's talking about how when Lord is doing the Srishti, he's appearing in the forms like Narayana, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Niruddha. At the same time, Lakshmi is also, she is also taking the forms. So Baldev Vidyabhushan also quoting Vishnu Puran, he writes, Evam yatha jagat swami deva devo janardanaha avataram karoti esha tatha shris tat sahayini. So just as Janardana, the Lord of Universe, descends in various incarnations, so too Sri Lakshmi manifests alongside him. So in that way, many times in that Baldev Vidyabhushan is quoting Madhvacharya, like all the whatever books he has written, so from that exactly the same verses he is quoting. And the second Pramaya is about Akhilamnaya Vedyatvam, so which tells that Lord Vishnu is the object of all the Vedas, and through that only we can know him. So there, Baldev Vidyabhushan quotes many references, and there one interesting, the Purapaksha comes that if Lord is not understandable, like fully, so then what is the use of the words which are there in the Vedas? The Vedas will be futile, or it will be useless if Lord is not describable by words. And this Baldev Vidyabhushan, when he starts to speak about this, and he just exactly, I just saw the similarity that Madhvacharya also in Vishnu Nirnayaha, the Prathama Paricheda, he brings this point, and he refutes this point, that if we have to understand that Lord is not actually fully understandable, but it's not that we cannot, it's not that we cannot understand him anything like that, because it's very much required for us to get liberation. So that's why we have to understand the Lord, and otherwise all the Shastric study will be meaningless. And he quotes Mahopanishad also and many different scriptures to establish this point. And about even the third Pramaya is about Vishvam Satyam, so the universe is real. And when Baldev Vidyabhushan starts to comment, and he quotes many of the, like he quotes first of all Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, Tasmad idam jagat asesham asat swarupam swapna bhavam sthita dhishanam ishadhama. So how, when there are some statements where it is written that the universe is unreal or asat, how those statements have to be understood. And they have to be understood with the conception of vairagyam. So we have to have detachment. In that way, we have to understand those statements and as a dream-like state. So it's not the Jagat is real even, but still for us we have to just have detachment. So he also quotes Mahabharatam, Brahma Satyam, Tapas Satyam, Satyam Saiva Prajapatihi, Satyat Bhutani Jatani, Satyam Bhuta Mayam Jagat. In that way he quotes. And this Madhvacharya, he has written this Prakarana Grantha, Prapanchamithyatvanumana and wonderfully I just read that, and he, like again he just refuting that point that Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. So this is there. And then the fourth Pramaya is about the Vishnutaha Jivanam Bhedaha. So the Jivas are different from Vishnu, like that. There is a clear difference there. And Madhvacharya in Mahabharatatma explains about these 5 types of Bhedas. So Jiveshayor Bheda, Chaiva Jiva Bheda Parasparam, Jadeshayo Jadanam Cha Jada Jiva Bheda Datha, Pancha Bheda Ime Nitya Sarvavasthasu Sarvashaha, Muktanam Cha Nahiyante, Taratamyam Cha Sarvada. So this Taratamyam and the difference between the Jivas and the Jiva Ishvara and the Jiva in Jagat and Ishvara in Jagat, and among the Jivas also there is difference. So this gradation always exists even after the liberation. So Gaudia, Baldev Vidyabhushan also, he quotes Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Dvasuparna Sayujya Sakhaya Samanam Vriksham Parishashvajate. Yes. So the analogy of 2 birds sitting on the same tree, and one is enjoying the fruits and one is just witnessing that. So and Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidhati Kaman. So in that way, many things he has quoted from, same things from Madhvacharya. Fifth prameya is about the Jivanam Bhagavad Dasatvam. So the Jivas, they are the servants of Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. And in Gaudia Sampradaya, the very famous Chaitanya Charitamrita shloka, the Chaitanya Charitamrita Payar is there, Jiva Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nityadas. So Jiva is constitutionally the servant of the Supreme Lord. And this very much Sri Madhvacharya in Mahabharata Nirnaya. And in the first adhyaya, in the later shlokas, he clearly explains this in Tattva Sankhyanam, how the Jiva is Paratantra. And his constitutional position is to serve him, serve Lord Vishnu. And what are the different rituals or the actions in the bhakti, how to do bhakti, and what are the different nuances in bhakti. So that is the activities of the devotee. So that is very much explained in the Sadachar Smriti by Madhvacharya. Also, the activities of the devotee, so these things also very much in Gaudiya Sampradaya, the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, there Rupa Goswami, he explains in elaborate manner. Baldev Vidyabhushan, in very concise manner, he just sums up. So he just quotes Madhva Puran, Dasa Bhuta Hare Reva, Nanya Seva Kadachana. And there is another, the next prameya. So the next prameya is about the Jiva Hari Charana Jushas Taratamyan Chatesham. So there is always the gradation, the Taratamya is there. And Madhvacharya, he explains about the Taratama Bhava in the so many granthas, in the very explicitly in Mahabharata Nirnaya, he again and again he quotes how there is Lord Vishnu, and then below him is Lakshmi Devi, and then there is Brahma and Vayudev, and then there is their wives. In that way he explains the Taratamya. In this connection, Baldev Vidyabhushan gives a very insight, like very beautiful insight, how he explains the Taratamya through the Gaudiya lens, is with the bhavas, or the rasas, different types of rasas, Shanta rasa and Dasya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, and Sakhya rasa and Madhuri rasa. So in that way also there is always the gradations are there in rasa also, and also in the material world. So even after the mukti also there is the Taratamya exists. So in that way he gives a very beautiful insight about the rasas. And the prayojanam, so that is the seventh prameya. The prayojanam is Vishnavangri Labham, and that we have to attain the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So for this also, Madhvacharya, he very much explains this in Mahabharata Nirnaya, first chapter. Aparoksha drisher hetu muktir hetu shasapunah saivananda surupena nitya mukteshu tishtati yatha shaukalyadikam rupam gorbhavatyeva sarvada sukha jnanadikam rupam evam bhaktirna chanyatha bhaktya tushtim abhyeti vishnu nanyena kenachit sa eva muktidata sa bhaktis tatraika karanam. So Lord Vishnu is only pleased by bhakti, and the bhakti should be along with the jnana and vairagya. It should be along with that. So through that only Lord is attained. And how in the Gotva jati, the cowness, there is whiteness and many other features that is intrinsic to cowness. Similarly to bhakti, the sukha anubhutihi and different things, so the features of bhakti, they are intrinsic to that. And also we can see, so Madhvacharya, his name, there is this word Madhu, like that, Madhva, and it means Ananda, like that, sweetness. So he is always like immersed in supreme bliss. In that way, then afterwards there is Tad Amala Bhajanam Tasya Hetum Pramanam. So there is Amala Bhajanam, and bhakti, that is the abhideya, so for everyone. And just as I quoted the Jivataratamyam, sorry, I just quoted the shlokas from Mahabharata Atmanirnaya, explaining about that bhakti is the parama purushartha, and that only we have to do. So that is the process. And many different rituals and the how to perform bhakti, these are all explained in his Madhvacharya's books, and also in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in Gaudia. And the last prameya, ninth one, Pratyakshaditrayam Cheti Upadishati Hari Krishna Chaitanya Chandra. So these all 9 prameyas are explained by Chaitanya Chandra. 9th prameya is about the Pramanam, so the Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda, and how Pramana Lakshanam, in the Lakshana Grantha of Madhvacharya, so he explains how the Shabda Pramana is having two types, the Paurushaya and Apaurushaya. So these are all the things. And Gaudiyas, they also accept, like Tattva Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami explicitly explains about, he enumerates all the Pramanas and which Pramana is the highest, and he mentions the 10 Pramanas. Primarily, there are only 3 Pramanas, but the other 7 Pramanas, they are inclusive to them. So, same thing in Pramana Lakshanam and Pramana Paddhati also, Jai Tirtha Muni, he explains. So, there is a lot of similarities, and we can get in how all of the Gaudiya Acharyas are following in the footsteps of Madhvacharya. So, that's why the Gaudiyas are called, the Gaudiyas are actually in Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Vaishnava Sampradaya. So, that's why, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has told this 9 pramayas. So with that, I would just like to conclude. One last thing I would just like to mention, that with the help and support of my Acharya, Narayana Acharya, who is the HOD of Dvaita Vedanta department at NSU, Tirupati. So with the support of that, with his guidance, from the next year in July, the university is starting a different Gaudiya Vaishnava department there. So there we are just planning the syllabus. In January we will finalize the syllabus. So in all the different Gaudiya Vaishnava books, so that will be planned in a semester wise. In first semester what books we will cover. So we will cover basically the Pramana books, and second semester Bhagavad Gita and Upanishad Bhashyam and all. So I would just humbly request you that first of all I would seek your blessings that may this initiative, so it fructifies, and many Gaudiya devotees become benefited. So at a university level, in a mainstream education, and it is like accepted by government, and we can get the degrees in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So, and also if there are more devotees, you can inform to them and spread the word that in such a manner from next year, Gaudiya Vaishnava it's starting in a university level. So then they can also enroll and systematically study. Yeah. So thank you so much. Please excuse me if any mistakes I have done during my speech or mentioning any pramana. So please excuse me and please correct me. I'm still learning Dvaita Vedanta under my superior teachers, and yeah, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Now I call Jyotishwara Dasa to present his paper. Dr. Jyotishwara Dasa serves as the principal investigator at the Institute for Science and Spirituality, an Indian Knowledge Systems Research Center recognized by Ministry of Education, Government of India. He is Brahmachari serving at ISKCON Punjabi Bagh, Delhi, and has been a practitioner of Gaudiya Vaishnavism for past 17 years. He previously held an Institute of Postdoctoral Fellowship at the IKSHMA Center, IIT Mandi. He earned his PhD in particle physics from the Harsha Chandra Research Institute, Prayagraj, and received the Institute Silver Medal for his BS and MS in physics from IIT Roorkee. His research spans quantum field theory, cognitive neuroscience, quantum-inspired models of perception and cognition, and applied mathematics with the broader aim of developing modern frameworks to understand the cognition and perception in dialogue with the Bharatiya Darshanas. He has published in many top-rated international journals. I request him to present his paper.
So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak. So before I start, I would like to offer my pranams to my or Guru Varga. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarane. Hare Krishna. So first of all, I may be an odd man out here. I'm traditionally not a. Is it okay? Yeah. Traditionally, I'm not a not a traditionally trained scholar. So my all training had been mostly in physics and mathematics and all that. But so that physics and mathematics study of that to understand the fundamental building blocks of the nature, that led me deeper inquiries in philosophy and bring it down. Okay, thank you. So that led me further exploration in philosophy and my appreciation for Gaudia Vaishnavism. Of course, I'm natively from Odisha, so that culture is there, but I never understood the philosophy, never really attempted it because of so-called, the air of science and technology and mathematics, all that. But lately, I really appreciate and the loopholes in the modern scientific theories that led me to explore our ancient text and appreciate that. So in that connection, of course, by now, probably this is the last talk, and by now, all the scholars, they have pondered over several aspects, and one of the highlights had been vishesha and Achintya Veda. Lot of debates had happened just before me. The scholar presented the 9 Pramaya Ratnavalis, the Pramayas, and before that, esteemed Satyanarayana Das Babaji, he also presented several aspects, including clarification on vishesha and Achintya Veda. So I don't think I need to provide any extra scriptural support of what is Achintya Veda and what is vishesha, how they're connected. I did not really spend time on that, but nevertheless I'll touch upon some aspects from Pramaya Ratnavalis, some of the Pramayas, and also Srimad Bhagavatam and other Gaudiya texts. So in particular, I am going to talk on Srila Prabhupada's view on matter and consciousness in Madhva Gaudiya lineage. So why this is important? Because when Sripad Shankaracharya was preaching Advaita, the need was, as commonly said, to refute Buddhism, which has spread all across India, and to remove Sunyavad from this land. So he established Advaitavad, and later on, our Vaishnavacharyas, when they came, so they for them the Purvapaksha was Advaita, so Mayavada. But if you look at current situation, the situation is very different. So, I mean, of course, here being at this place, all of you are very traditionally trained scholars and into the system, practice. But majority of the 99.99% of the world population doesn't really accept even God exists. So that's the premise we are sitting at. And had it been the case at the time of Madhvacharya and any other Vaishnavacharyas who really dealt with the social system, dealt with the intellectual problem that was happening at the time, which was primary threat was Mayavad, he addressed that, he engaged with that. So that's the scope at which I'm speaking. So Srila Prabhupada emphasized research, of course, the theological aspects of understanding the distinction between Jiva and the Ishvara, that is very much there. So that's the primary aspect of any theological or any philosophical system, any Vaishnava tradition that we are following. But imagine a person who doesn't even accept that mind exists. I mean, for him, for her, it's only matter that exists. So how do you really engage with such a person? So for him, for her, there is no Pramana Shastra that we have that really make any sense. All that person understands is simple material logic, the science, the technology that has come out. So how to really bring that such persons to the path of bhakti, and how to engage them, the Param Purusharth is as in our Gaudia tradition and in other traditions. So so that's the compassion of all acharyas. So before I start, just to make things complete, Sripad Madhvacharya's teachings, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that he has taken two primary elements. One is Kevala Advaita Nirasan and the second is Sri Vigraha Seva. So, and both these two aspects, if you see, today's generation, so they have a problem that God exists. So there is no question of visiting temple and paying attention, paying respect to the Lord. So that's ruled out. And second, Kevala Advaita Nirasan. So refuting Mayavad strongly before studying Madhvacharya's the Mayavad Sata Dushani, the book in your Madhva tradition. Before that, I used to think why Srila Prabhupada is so vehemently criticizing Mayavadis. So sometimes I had little doubt. It is his personal intention or why? Maybe his guru has started this tradition, so he is following that. But then I found that it's actually the Madhvacharya who has so vigorously traveled all across and fought with Mayavadis, I mean the theories. So that's both these two aspects are a bit irrelevant in the sense of modern academic scholarship, which with the help of technology and science that has evolved. So of course for us, when we visit the temple, as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, referring to the story of Sakshi Gopal, so Pratima nahi tumi sakshat Brajendra Nandana Vipralagi karatumi akarya karan. So the story of the Lord, the deity who traversed from Vrindavan to the land, no, not Odisha, Kanchipuram, or Vijayanagar. So later on it was brought to Odisha, Cuttack. This is Sakshi Gopal. So Lord became Sakshi. He personally, the deity from Vrindavan personally came to give a witness to a Brahmana boy there's a long story. So the two Brahmanas who came to Vrindavan, and the other Brahman said, "You have lied me." He said that he would give his daughter as marriage to that younger Brahman. So to resolve that conflict, Lord came and as Sakshi to the land. So my point is, for us accepting this is not a problem. So Lord's Achintya Shakti, Lord can walk. So for him there is no distinction between Bahiranga and Antaranga. I mean, if he wants, he's inconceivably potent and he can do anything he likes. So Srila Prabhupada used to say that like expert engineer who can produce the heat from electricity and the cold from electricity, so AC. So similarly the Supreme Lord can manipulate his energy, that is his own Shakti. So anyway, so let me proceed quickly. So now we find questions when we engage with any modern academic scholar or student for that matter. The questions like rudimentary questions which was never a question really in our bygone times. Is there a God? Are we not just bag of chemicals evolved from apes? Has not life started from a chanced event, or cosmos for that matter, Big Bang? So all this hedonistic materialism that has spread all across, it's actually our duty to engage with these people and refute them compassionately and propound our philosophy. Otherwise, at some point when their intellectual curiosity cannot answer, the present scientific enterprise cannot answer them, So the natural choice they have is become a Mayavadi, Advaitin. So you take any philosopher in the West who has little appreciation for Indian philosophy, most of them you would find them as Advaitins. So earlier our acharyas fought for Sunyavada, Vijnanavada, Vivartavada, but now this thing is little different. The hedonistic, materialistic worldview, we need to fight with that. So, and here it reminds me a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, the section of Vidura Maitreya Sambhada. So why does a Vaishnava preach traverses all across? Janasya Krishna Vimukasya Daivad Adharma Silasya Sudukhitasya Anugrahaya Charanti Nunam Bhutani Bhavyani Janardhanasya. And Srimad Bhagavatam, you will find many such verses explaining the compassionate nature of the acharyas, the devotees. So essentially, to keep things short, so our philosophy is of a real world, not an imaginative world or like Advaitins, the Mayavadis think of. So we want to establish the reality of the world, that the Panchabhedas, like Madhvacharya talked about. So, but in the modern context, we have several technological advancements, like we have virtual reality. We have now generative AI is producing, mimicking human intelligence. You go to ChatGPT, you converse with it. It's very difficult after some time, probably it would be, to distinguish whether I'm speaking to a human being or really a insentient lump of matters programs that's running somewhere in US. It's very difficult. So unless and until we create an epistemic framework to establish our theory, our siddhantas, so it would be very difficult. It has gone out of our hand. So unless and until we engage in the modern science and create a framework for that matter, it would be extremely difficult in future generations. We are already, as Pratyush was yesterday saying, we are already becoming obsolete and nobody would care even that they are of any value. We may be satisfied in our own little zones, but that's never really going to help the people. The compassionate nature of the Acharya that has been depicted in our paramparas, it's not really reflecting that. It's a little humble appeal to engage in such an activity. So let me quickly go into Srila Prabhupada's view on matter and consciousness. Although Srila Prabhupada always said don't engage in mental speculation, emphasize Shuddha Bhakti, but he founded a branch of his society dedicatedly for this purpose, to engage with these material scientists and philosophers to bring them to the path of bhakti. And for that matter, there was no discussion of Ishvara there even. His purpose was, even if they just come to the conclusion that there is God exists and we are Atman, so that is also sufficient. So, and he chalked out many such paths, many such problems. There are several documented through his through commentaries and through his conversations. You can find them. So one prominent theme was life comes from life. The Supreme Lord is the primary life. From him, anything that has emanated, even the Jagat, it cannot be mithya. It has to be real. But in the modern context, you see, what is life? Life is considered a conglomeration of several biomolecules and chemicals, which has really produced life out of it, consciousness out of it, which is not fact. So, but that is somewhere we need to address. So he says in one of the conversations in 1973, he says, similarly, because life is the cause, matter is the effect. Therefore, in the effect, there is life in another form. So, we need to understand even matter better. So, we take matter granted. We equate with our understanding, scriptural understanding of Jada or Achit as matter. But if you go into the detailed hardcore physics, the way the matter is conceived is totally different from the way matter is conceived in our Shastras. Even there is a need of addressing that fundamental issue. What is matter? That is also not clearly understood, let alone what is consciousness. So, because their framework is completely observer independent, objective reality, which has nothing to do with any sentient conscious observation. For us, the Jagat is Satya. So it's the experience of Mahavishnu or the Antaryami Paramatma. So, and second aspect he always highlighted, citing, of course, Sankhya aspects in Bhagavad Gita, Bhumirapo analo vayu khangmana buddhirevacha. So, bhinna prakriti ashtada, the prakriti, it's bhinna, so emphasizing the division, the distinction among material different elements, the Sankhya understanding. So, he wanted to create a narrative where we understand the hierarchy of such structures, the ontologies. So, current framework of material science cannot accommodate it. We may try to do little bit here and there, but it's very difficult to do that because the epistemic ground that has been created, it's completely reductionist. Reductionist means you break it down to the fundamental elements. That is what particle physics is all about. After spending 5 years in particle physics, I came to realize that it doesn't speak anything of the reality. So, yeah, so we need to create that hierarchy. So then only we'll be able to appreciate that there is something called Atman, that we are Atman, and let alone there is God and the Paramatman. So then he emphasized the reality of the world. So recent 1-2 years back, the Nobel Prize was awarded. Yesterday, Pratos was also saying that they proved, apparently it was projected that the theory is proving that the world is locally non-real. I mean, Asat, it's founded on Asat. So, it's not the case. We need to address that issue. These are such a fundamental issue. The bare minimal things which were accepted earlier as a common norm, it's no longer existing. So, we need to address that issue. So, like, this is a very famous verse often debated in our Gaudia community, at least in the community that I've seen. This 14th chapter, Brahma's prayer, to Balagopal. So, in the 22nd, Tasmad idam jagat asesam asat swarupam. So, why there is a need of depicting asat swarupam? Even Pramana Ratnavali also, I think the other scholar, I forgot his name, he was also mentioning, Baldev Vidyabhushan says, oftentimes the asat is referred just to bring in the idea of detachment from this world. Otherwise, the world has come out of the Supreme Lord, so it has to be Sat. So, it's a dependent reality, it's a Sat. So, it's only temporary. So, to the extent Mahavishnu wants this cosmic manifestation to be there, it exists and then it unwinds just like a spider consumes his own net and then again reproduces. So, then the fourth one is whatever, suppose we create the epistemic framework for this kind of science, theistic science so to say, then we need to have the role of Paramatma. Without Paramatma, things cannot happen. Upadishta Anumantacha Bharta Bhoktacha Maheshwara. That aspect we need to bring in. So, but I don't think any of our scientific framework is ready to acknowledge that kind of stuff. So, I would like to here mention that in some of my recent works in physics, we have tried to bring in this aspect of Paramatma, of course not speaking as Paramatma, as universal consciousness, and talking about network of individual consciousness, directly refuting the arguments of prominent philosophers like Bernard Kastrup and Donald Hoffman and such people. So reality is grounded on the experience of Mahavishnu. That is something we need to really take a note of. So any science, here science means I am saying the science of modern science, the materialistic science. If at all we are creating such an epistemic framework, we need to have this provision of Paramatma somewhere. Otherwise, the whole aspect cannot be real. So, this again, quoting Srila Prabhupada's the Antaryami. In our tradition, Antaryami, we have threefold, Mahavishnu, the three Purusha avatars. And the fifth aspect that Srila Prabhupada often emphasized is defining what is, yeah. Yes. Sorry? Oh, that aspect, the other part, yeah. I didn't write the full verse, yeah. Yeah, sorry for that. So, yeah, it's there. Yoganidra is there, right? Bajit? No, it's not dream. It's actually dream is a very, it's not a good word. Later in the purport clarifies. So, dream is just to give the impression that, I mean, it's, yes, the Hankalpa of Mahavishnu, yes. So let there be universe, the creation, and he glanced on and the universe manifested. Saikshata and yeah, that this kind of things. Yes. So just English has this problem. Nidra. How do you write that? That's the issue. But later in the purport he clarifies. So the ground of reality has to be the Paramatma. And the fifth aspect, which is core to our Dvaita tradition, the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, how do you really define Maya? Vitartham yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyat atmano mayam yatha bhasho yatha tama. So Srila Prabhupada very beautifully in the Tatparya he says, Srila Prabhupada all through his teachings he has always emphasized what is matter. He says anything not seen in relation with the Supreme is called matter. And anything seen in relation with as a service to Supreme, so that is spiritual. So for that matter, even if the food that you are eating, so it is ordinarily you make a lab test, it's all material ingredients. But it becomes prasadam, the remnants of the Supreme Lord, when he glances on it, so it becomes spiritual because there is a connection with the Supreme. So the definition of matter is defined as per this Bhagavatam or illusion. When things are seen in correction in relation to the Supreme, so that is Adhyatmic, the spiritual, and when not seen, that is matter. So in other words, if I conceive a reality where matter exists as distinct identity, distinct ontology, which has no connection to the Supreme, that means absolute Veda. So it doesn't stand, because it cannot stand on its own. It's the Sakti of the Bahiranga Sakti is also the Sakti of the Supreme Lord. So the material variegatedness, it's standing on the Bahiranga Sakti, the Sakti of the Lord. So that aspect needs to be brought in, the relation, as in the, we have been discussing on this vishesha and Achintya Veda aspect. So what I understood in my limited understanding of Madhva, little bit of text that I have studied, and Gaudia text, whatever I have studied. So it seems the Bheda aspect is, the Madhva Siddhanta and the Gaudia Siddhanta absolutely no difference. It's only where the emphasis is kept. So in our tradition, the emphasis is kept on the relation. Relation here, in the sense the Sakti and Shaktiman relation. That's why we bring in the idea of Achintya. And in the Madhva tradition, because that was the prime tenet to differentiate Jiva from Ishvara, the material differences, the distinction between the Jivas, all these Pancha Vedas. So it's only the difference of articulation and where the emphasis is put. The idea of vishesha can be almost equated with the idea of Achintya, Veda. And Prabhupada very beautifully translates in his Tatparya simultaneously one and different. Whenever the Achintya Veda would come, he would translate it as simultaneously one and different. So it's not Abheda, it's not Veda, it's simultaneous, Veda and Aveda. That's how Prabhupada ji has translated. And of course, we read from Bhagavatamrita that when the Gopakumara visits this, I need to go back.
The previous one is interpreted by Madhvacharya in a different way. It's not about the illusory or something like that. There is no prayojana of the srishti to the God. That is what Madhvacharya means. Nacha Paramatmane artham arthavatpratite artham prayojanam rute. Nahi jiva prakrtibhyam ishvarasya artham. By creating jiva or ishvara, he has no jiva or prakriti, he has no prayojana. This is the Madhvacharya's aspect.
Explanation. Yeah, I think this is what. We need to. Of course, other acharyas I have not referred here. I also forgot what exactly they say. But you.
Saving one thing for another thing is called illusion. For example, accepting a rope as it, but the rope is not false.
I think here it speaks about
Rope as it is not.
Yeah, that is what is emphasized. Whether it is related, seen in Sambandha or not. So.
for that you have to tell temporary.
Yeah, that's temporary. Yeah, that's the temporary. Yeah, illusion anyway is not something that exists in our dictionary.
Cause for suffering. Both
Sorry?
temporary and cause for suffering.
Causal?
Cause for suffering. When we say illusion,
Yeah, cause for suffering. Yeah, it's not mithya. Yes.
The wrong conception of accepting this material manifestation as being diverse from the energy of God is illusion.
I mean, that is how.
That is okay.
Yeah.
This material manifestation as being diverse from the energy of God is illusion.
Illusion in the sense it's Prabhupada ji uses this terminology little interchangeably. So when he says illusion in this context, he never really says illusion in the ontological sense. It says it's a temporary nature which we mistake something else. So so there is a little. It should be taken with a grain of salt. So a pinch of salt. So yeah, I'll wrap up in 5 minutes. Should I move ahead? Yeah. And of course, you have to see the other commentaries like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and others. So usually Prabhupada ji takes from Vishwanath Chakravarti and Baldev Vidyabhushan and other their works. Yeah. So the real reality exists in the spiritual world, the Adhyatmic Jagat. I mean, as we see in the case of Gopakumar, and yeah. So I'll quick. Oh yeah, this is a book by Srila Sanatana Goswami, Brihad Bhagavatamrit. It's a journey of a jiva. He traverses different material realms and spiritual realms, and he meets different grades of even liberated jivas. Like in Vaikuntha also there are Taratamya and different mood, depending on the mood. Then he goes to the Saket Dham, and then Dwarka, then Mathura, Vrindavan, like that. The journey of a jiva from this material bhautik jagat to the spiritual world. So, yeah, sorry.
Krishna showed the Vaikuntha to all these Gopakumaras.
Yeah, it's here Gopakumar is referring to a specific name in that character, one single person somewhere. So in Vrindavan, Govardhan. So it's not related to Krishna Leela. So it's in the manifest pastime Krishna Leela. So it's the book, the character is Gopakumara, and he is seeking spirituality, and he goes to different places, and
It is meant to show that Vaikuntha is the highest pleasure.
yeah.
He goes to Swargaloka, he gets the Ashtadasha mantra, Diksha, and by chanting Ashtadasha mantra, his desire fulfills. He goes to Swarga, Mahaloka, Satyaloka, but still there is something shortage. Finally, there is entry into Vaikuntha. And
Yes.
Vaikuntha, the different vishesha forms of Narayana are manifest. Finally, for his Swarupa, the vishesha form of Krishna
Is dear to him, and
serves him in that.
yeah. The purpose of depicting all this to show that the Adhyatmika Jagata is real, and things happen. The Leela has happened there. They are not hallucinations or fantasies. So that's the point. Again, quickly coming to what I wanted to convey. So these are all okay. So there is no debate. I mean, our Acharyas have already worked a lot on differentiating between particularly the Jiva and the Ishvara. Even the Mayavad, Satadushani, almost 90% of the verses are dealt with this aspect only. I'm discussing about the Jiva and the Ishvara relation and the distinction. So, but there is an equally important distinction which needs to be amplified, particularly in the context of current scenario, the current intellectual, so-called intellectual tradition that is evolving. So we need to highlight the differences, matter and consciousness. That distinction needs more attention than anything else. So otherwise, I mean, they would hijack everything, and who knows what the future awaits. So the mind, cognition, intelligence, identity, all these things need to be understood from the vantage point for creating a theistic science. So here I propose that the science of categories and abstractions, they're required for modeling the Sakti of Padartha and Swarupa. That is what the vishesha and esteemed Satyanarayana Das Babaji was also talking about. So we need to have, when I say categories, they are really, if you talk about the mathematical logic, so they are the most sophisticated mathematical theories that's ever evolved, the categories theory and the ideas of abstraction. So if at all we want to engage with this materialistic science, we need to come to that kind of platform. And quickly, just touching the vishesha. Vishesha is not really the absolute Bheda. It's just like, it gives the impression of Bheda. So it's not really talking about the Veda. Even Madhvacharya also concurs with that. So again, quoting another verse from Svatashvatra Upanishad, Parasya Sakti Vividhaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. So here Swabhaviki, our Acharyas comment that it's related to the Swarupa like heat is related to the fire. And again from quoting from Baldev Vidyabhushan is Pramana Ratnavali, first one probably. So na bhinna dharmena dharma. The qualities are not different from the possessor of the qualities. So if Swagata Bheda, here I am talking in the material aspect, not Lord's Vishnu Tattvas, the Swagata Bheda in that doesn't exist. Madhvacharya and our tradition, everybody refutes that. There is no distinction between Vishnu Tattvas. So I am talking in the material, the ontological hierarchies. So the unity, the Bheda and Abheda aspect needs to be brought in. Even the same things exist in the Nyaya also as Samanya and Samavaya. Same thing exists in Sankhya also as the three gunas. Same thing exists in the Vedanta, if you like, that's vishesha or Achintya. So Achintya Bheda Bheda. So we need to create an ontological category on this ground so that a theistic science could be created in a proper sense aligned with our shastras. So here I would like to ask the question, can matter and cognition be studied through epistemic framework of vishesha and Achintya Bheda Bheda category? That's something we are exploring at our institute, and that has been my personal ambition and instruction from my guru. And we need to refute this or address this question of observer independent objective reality. What does that really mean? That has been the cornerstone of modern scientific enterprise. So of course, again coming back to the roots, Kathopanishad, Nachiketa Prasang, Naya Matma Pravachena Labhya, Na Vedaya Na Bahuna Srutena, Yam Evaisa Brunate Tena Labhyas, Tasei Sa Atma Vibrunote Tanum Swam. So, the Supreme Self cannot be reached by argumentation. So, by applying one's independent brain power, studying many scriptures, rather, he alone can achieve the Self whom the Self chooses to favor. To that person, the Self reveals his own true personal form. So, translating in another way, whenever we receive the Kripa of the Supreme, whatever we want to do, that would be accomplished. So, my little tiny brain, what it would do in this gigantic, huge cosmos. Of course, our tradition emphasizes the Unnata Ujjvala Rasa, Anarpitam Charim Chirat Karunaya Avatirna Kalau, Samarpayitum Unnata Ujjvala Rasam, Swabhakti Sriyam. And at the same time, again, 14th chapter of the Smaskanda, Lord Rama says, what can you do with the knowledge? Jnane prayas mudupasya namante eva, jivanti sanmukharitan bhavadiya varta, stane stitam shrutigatam tanu bhakmanovi, ye prasada jito ajito api trais trilokyam. These are all okay. But can these things, this particular engaging with the material science, it appears like very gruesome work, materialistic work. So can this be also bhakti? So that's my question, and it had been my question for many years, because I see the people around me, they engage in either Vigraha Seva or many other activities directly with bhakti. But here I am solving mathematics and trying to make a model of how perception and cognition is happening, trying to figure out things here and there. So oftentimes I also used to think, is it really bhakti or I am just wasting my time? So it took me quite some years really to appreciate and understand it. I'm still growing. So I seek all of your blessings. So here Srila Prabhupada, oftentimes he used to cite this particular verse from Bhagavad Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam. Idam hi pumsa tapasa srutasya va, suishtasya suktasya cha buddhi dattayo, avichitta arthak avivi nirupito, yad uttama shloka gunanu varnanam. In his Tatparya, Prabhupada says something little different, very unconventional from his other Tatparyas. He says scientific knowledge engaged in the service of the Lord, and all similar activities are factually Hari Kirtan, the glorification of the Lord. So this is something so soothing to me, at least on the order of our Parampara, the Gurudev. So I'm trying to engage in this service. Hopefully, I see that this as my little endeavor in this direction to serve the Supreme Lord. So hope he accepts, and I seek blessings from all you Vaishnavas, exalted Vaishnavas. And Srila Prabhupada, in many of his conversations, he would very blatantly argue and refute So in one of the purports, one of the conversations which is very interesting, he says, so here he is referring to the theory of Darwin, that we evolved from the apes. He says we have to challenge, protest and defeat. This will be our work. Our worshipping of Krishna, that is our internal affair. The external affair will be to establish this theory. Otherwise, they will be misleading the society. So with this small note, I would like to conclude. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Krishna Namaste. And of course, if any of you have any suggestions how we can proceed in this direction, so I will be really grateful. So thank you.
There was one slide where you mentioned that we need to have epistemologies
Yes.
in order to match our ontologies.
Yes. Yeah.
As a student of Western philosophy, the separation between epistemology and ontology begins with Immanuel Kant.
Yeah, Immanuel Kant.
Prior
Yeah.
to that, every kind of discussion of reality meant epistemology and ontology went together. And that is true of all our darshan shastras also. In such an instance, when we actually accept the ontology or the yathartha that our shastras indicate, why should one actually think of not using the same epistemology which is provided from the shastra and seek for what would be shastra aviruddha, quote unquote science, quote unquote technology, quote unquote whatever?
Yeah, so thank you. This is really an interesting question. So I didn't touch this question. First of all, the distinction between ontology and epistemology, I rightly pointed out, it's after Immanuel Kant. So even in our, we need not really make them two separate branches. I agree with that. But we are clear about the ontologies that we are going to propose. So, but we need to create even our Pramana Shastra before discussing, before any debate, any discussion, the thorough grounding of any Siddhanta, it starts from the Pramana. So, once the Pramana is laid down, the Pramana, how I am going to justify what I am thinking is correct? How do you know what you know is correct? So, or how do I know what I am saying is correct? So, that Pramana Shastra has to be laid down first. Even though the ontology goes hand in hand, but the Pramana Shastra has to be laid down first. Unless and until that is done, there is no discussion. And talking about the scientific realm, so I am not saying we have to create an epistemic framework which is completely new. We have our epistemic framework, the primary pramanas, pratyaksha, anumana and sabda or agama, whatever you say. So in that, the thorough understanding would lead us create parallels in modern science. Say the idea, why I am talking about cognition and perception. The pratyaksha I am equating with perception. So the how do you really perceive the world around us? So the science would say the rays are coming and it's hitting your retina and going to your brain, the neural activation is happening and bang and you are conscious. This is not something even hardcore science, core science people would even accept. Perception is not yet understood. Cognition is not yet understood. All they have understood is how the brain is firing and doing. That is what they are contemplating with cognition and perception, because they have no idea of what is mind, what is intellect, what is the ahankara. There is no idea. So now, given this situation, how do you really convey what is pratyaksha to them? No way. Even if you talk about Nyaya, the cognition can only happen only when the manas is in contact with the objects, the indriyas, and the indriyas in touch with the objects. For them, mind is an emergent thing. So for you, it's a starting point. It's the top in the hierarchy. If such a gulf of difference is there, how do you really translate our pramanas, existing way of understanding a pramana to them? And let alone the theory that would spring out of it. They have created the reductionist epistemic framework. and based on that they have created a notion of matter which is actually an hallucination. I mean, let me tell you, the conception of matter that is existent in quantum field theory or particle physics, whatever the Large Hadron Collider they are studying, it's completely different from what we know in our Shastras.
It's completely different what Immanuel Kant understood.
Yeah, Immanuel Kant, I don't know. I mean, never interacted. I'm not from Western background, so I cannot say what he understood.
It goes completely against to the Plato
Yeah.
and Socrates also.
Yes. Even Socrates and Aristotle, they had also issues. Even Aristotle said there is unmoved cause. I mean, he made a god like.
It is not for only for us
Yeah.
to have a question.
Yes.
It's for them also.
Them also to question.
Also, how can they readjust this philosophy? Although they negate that.
Yeah.
It's easy for them.
Yeah, given the situation that this reductionist hedonistic science is on rampant move, the whole modern academia, the people, the students, everybody is swept away by this avidya. And if we as Vaishnavas don't take steps out and do something in this, I know it's very difficult job. Where to start, I don't know. At least we have tried.
Unless we are sure about it, we cannot call it as avidya. We have
No, I mean the world is satya. I mean whatever the knowledge has been created is facilitating us projecting here. It's satya.
there must be some room that we should be.
Exactly. We need to create that epistemic ground so that the same things could be. They have created the knowledge, say ChatGPT. So we all, yeah.
Except this pratyaksha, where there can be critical thinking about what is perception and all those things, the anumana is a
Yeah, next frontier.
pramana.
Yes.
We can have logics from
Now that kind of thinking is happening in the continental philosophy today also.
Yeah, that is true, but I'm saying aligning with the Dvaita tradition or whatever tradition that we are following, in that can we create a theistic science aligned with that? So that at the end, when these people who are fed up with their materialistic education, all they end up in becoming Mayavadis. Always. Most of the times.
No, that's not.
No, I mean, some fortunate jivas, if they meet Vaishnavas like you, they can.
it is a bigger danger. It is happening.
Yes.
So we should have a
Our
divide.
books should be translated in modern context.
No, not translations are always there.
Yes.
Translations are there, but the translations are not understandable.
Yeah, exactly.
So we should put in a new tree diagram like and all other things, and the new synthesis of idea should be given
Yes.
in a very understandable way.
Yes.
People will be,
And here I feel, yeah, please.
because the urban, educated and inquiry mind of the modern readers really appreciate, it will appreciate the
Yes.
reality of this world and the logics of reality.
Exactly.
It is in my mind, but I am not able to do it.
I mean, we need to discuss more on this.
But if you dig into this in deeply, you will be in more trouble than you are now.
No, I mean, see, I mean, anyway, we are in trouble. We have to start somewhere.
Tirtha is the work of Tirtha, which is basically a refutation of the Mayavada theory in a very big comprehensive manner. And we are trying to make it a logics of reality in an understandable way.
Yes. I mean, I can,
Things can be understood and appreciated by the modern readers, modern inquirers.
yes. Even the contemporary science,
Philosophy of language, Acharya.
the philosophy language has swept away the Western philosophy in 1980s for good reason. I mean, that era is over now. I mean, in the.
What we had for 400 years, it's philosophy.
No, I'm saying that I would not like to agree with this always.
If in case what you claim to be true, that those people who are actually becoming quote-unquote Mayavadis, I am an Advaitin, so I wouldn't actually accept the point of
he is
saying
not
if you call
Mayavadi.
that Mayavadi. It's a different story. Is there a sadhana marga, bhakti marga that actually can be embraced? The answer turns out to be yes, thanks to Madhva Saraswati actually responding to that. The issue that I think that you are wanting to pose and probably wanting to emphasize, I believe is about, we have a Shastra which requires something which is in alignment or aviruddha to it. And that is something that can be a collective endeavor.
Yes. Even
You are actually beginning defending the point
Yeah.
by saying that, say,
No, please forgive me. I mean, my intention was refuting the Leela, the such wonderful potency of the Lord. That was the Dvaita, the usual Dvaita Advaita fight. Not coming to that. Even the understanding of that I am Atman. So, I mean, that aspect is also missing.
But very importantly, what is the difference between the Mayavada and the ordinary some kind of Advaita is, Mayavada of Shankaracharya holds clearly, as per the Shankaracharya's own words, it is all illusionary, it is all dream, there is nothing except Brahman. If you are in very deep rooted in this Mayavada, then there will be no bhakti. If you accept bhakti, and again, if you think all this Shankha Chakra Gada Padma and Murali of Krishna, it is all unreal and it is all imagined by you, that is very...
Madhusudana Saraswati has tried to synthesize these things.
No, he is not synthesizing. Of course, if he is a bhakta, then he should think it is real.
No,
He says, I am Advaitin, but my mind is lured by this Krishna. That means this image itself is something, this Krishna is playing flute is something illusionary. That is one. No. Then Vyavaharika Satya means it is only imaginary. It does not exist. Whereas for the Dvaitins, this Krishna is playing flute in the moksha also. It is real. It is always there. It is the difference between the Mayavada and the Tatvavada. That's why Madhvacharya called it not Dvaita. Dvaita is something illusionary word. It is not Dvaita, it is Tatvavada. And according to me, it is more Bhakti Yoga rather than Bhakti Siddhanta. Not even Tatvavada. Because Tatvavada, the reality of the world, reality of things is subservient to the Bhakti Yoga of Madhvacharya. Bhakti is important point of the Madhvacharya's theory. And to support Bhakti Yoga, this Tatvavada, reality of these things, everything is accepted. In that way, there is a distinction between Mayavada and Tatvavada. Of course, people, they are doing sadhana. It means if somebody is lured by Krishna and always remembering Krishna, it means Krishna has given them light. They are thinking it is all a real thing. It seems to me. And those who are clearly thinking, no, it is all illusionary, there is no way they can go further. This is my observation.
Yeah, I thank Dr. Samanjay Datta, I thank Jyotiranjan Begoria for creating a debate. And it's very important. Morning also we had a debate on this, that using the Sanglish, because when you use the word ontology, the Western philosophical mind will think it as a material divisions of the matters. So it doesn't fit in, the God will not fit in the ontological aspects because he is metaphysics. Yeah, that I understood, but that was the debate morning which we had on knowledge and jnana. This is the debate we had actually. Okay. Yes. So he took a very complicated term actually. If you had taken this word, then it would be simple. So, now I request Dr. Samanjay Datta to deliver his paper. His paper title is Madhva Tradition and Vaishnavism in Bengal.
Okay, so I will start. I will try to keep things in time. Yeah, so yasya smarana matrena janma samsara bandhanat vimuchyate namastasmai Vishnave Prabha Vishnave. My pranams to all the Vaishnavas seated here. I'm going to talk about a topic which is more related to social policy than a philosophical question. We have talked about science, we have talked about very difficult problem that Dr. Pratosha, who also happens to be one of my mentors, was talking about. Now, that is one side of the work. There is a very important facet that Sri Vitthobacharya from Delhi pointed out, which was a social problem. And I'm going to talk more about that in the light of this presentation. Okay, so I will begin. So there are certain things which are known, that's the problem.
1 minute.
Yeah.
If we want to have milk now, we can take it. Otherwise, we can take it after his presentation. But again, remarks from the chairperson and then what?
Then we will continue valedictory.
Valedictory only remarks from the chairperson. How long your presentation?
Not more than 10 to 11 minutes. I will keep it in time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there are certain things that are known here, and
One small bhajan from our devotees. 10 minutes. By the time milk will be little bit.
Krishnamrutam. Krishnamrutam.
Whether we want this Krishnamrita or that Krishnamrita.
First you complete.
Okay.
sure. Yeah, perks of being the last speaker. There are not too much points to make by the time my turn comes. But anyway, I will share some common info and go into the crux of the talk. So, I mean, what is the highlight of the Madhva tradition? What I personally realized while being a student of this tradition is there is a very strong Sanskrit commentorial tradition, and then there is always this propensity to engage in dialectics, which also helps in today's day and age when we talk about being rational citizens. Also happens to be one of our fundamental duties according to the constitution. Now, the Bengali tradition has a huge Gaudia influence. I mean, that's one part of the Bengali Vaishnavism. There are other strands to it as well. So while people do not know, there happens to be a very prominent Sri Vaishnava tradition also, to which I belong. And it is true that post Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Vaishnava conversation that has happened in Bengal, and for that matter even the Advaita conversation, has been such that it has had to take some influence from Mahaprabhu. In fact, what you see in Madhusudana Saraswati's works, especially something like the Bhakti Rasayanam, where he talks about the 10th rasa as Bhakti, is nothing but what Kavi Karnapur talks about in Alankara Kaustubha. I think people would be aware of this here. So Mahaprabhu's presence in Bengal led to the conversation tilting towards a few things, one of which was the focus on Nama Sankirtana and the focus on Raga Anuga Bhakti. So these two things became very popular, and many other traditions which were not Gaudiya Vaishnava traditions also started showing influences of these. So that was the influence, the power that Mahaprabhu held. Now, going into these are known things. So I will probably not go into this. I will spend some time on the recognition of Sri Madhvacharya in Bengal. So the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition was anyway doing it. It was also being done in our own tradition. So I come from the Ramanujiya, Ramanandiya tradition, and there we had our Guru Sri Sitaram Das Onkarnathji. Now we have something called as the Traikalika Prarthana. So there, interestingly, all the prominent acharyas of different schools are addressed. In fact, we start with Sri Bhagavate Ramanujacharya Namaha, Sri Bhagavate Ramanandacharya Namaha, etc. And then we go to Sri Bhagavate Madhvacharya Namaha, and finally Sri Bhagavate Sri Krishna Chaitanya Chandraya Namaha, and Sri Bhagavate Sri Vallabhacharya Namaha. So this is how we proceed. And it is almost a known thing to us that, okay, these acharyas, these gurus are to be also accepted as avatars. Now, given if a sampradaya goes in this particular line, it becomes much more easier, therefore, to cooperate and have an inter-sampradaya dialogue. So we were working, I mean, so this was accepted, and we have an old text in our tradition called as the Bhaktamala. So Bhaktamal also accepts the avatarahood of many of these acharyas. Now, I will talk about that later, but what is the flow of Vaishnavism? So I've just focused on the Gaudiya lineage here, apart from our own tradition, which I've already talked about in brief. So we have the old Gaudiya lineages, and I mentioned Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur as revivalist acharyas. Because of them that we see the Gaudiya tradition being propagated across the world. So that is why I call them revivalist in that particular sense, in no other sense. I'm not saying that they had any other innovations that they made to the tradition. It's just in that aspect. And then there are global missionary movements which have done great work in this. And then there are some folk, rural, village level bhakti traditions also. So this is the current picture, apart from the Sri Sampradaya that still exists. And it's not a very small number. It turns out to be a few lakhs people in our Sampradaya. So that's one thing. Now, what has been the problem? As I said, we are talking about the issues in social policy. So there is this issue of the varnashrama, which has declined over time, and that led to decline in the memberships of these traditional sampradayas. So I'm just giving a count in our own tradition. It was 40 lakhs. So we used to maintain detailed registers of initiated disciples, and it has now turned out to be around 5 lakhs in the span of around 40 years. So this has been an issue. There are other issues because of which this has happened. The issues turn out to be occupational, and the issues that modernity brings, as in there is more intermixing of people, that leads to these issues. Also the influence of external lifestyles, that is lifestyles coming from the West. There is nothing against them, but it's just that we need to address that problem of how do we deal with the intermix of a certain lifestyle which is antithetical to the traditional lifestyle. So that's also one idea. Now, going into these two slides basically talk about this idea of traditional sampradayas seeing these problems, and we do see some lessons from the past teachers. So Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur revived Vaishnavism in the dialectical sense. So there is a very interesting work which is basically on his Digvijayas, which was published by the Gaudia Math. I think it's still in circulation, it's in Bengali, where he's talked about this idea of doctrinal rigor and monastic discipline. That's one part, but he was also doing another thing, that is he was opening up the sampradaya to others as well, keeping in line with the injunctions of Sri Mahaprabhu. So he was doing that, and also creating institutions of Vaishnava scholarship. So a lot of Gaudiya Granthas that are available to us today in Hindi or Bengali in English are due to his efforts and the efforts of his direct and other disciples. So that's one part. So there is a lesson that we can take from there. We need to take a lesson in terms of integrating scholarship. So you keep engaging in the debate so that the head stays in the right place, and we also have to open up spiritual practice in more accessible forms to other people in the broader society. We didn't do this, and because of that we lost a large population of India. So basically the lack of access, or maybe the lack of outreach, I should say. So that's one part. So here are two, as I said, here are two contributions that I'm showing. So these are publications from this is from the Gaudiya Math, Kolkata, and this is from the Gaudiya Vedanta Prakashana. So these are two granthas that were published, and a good part, a good feature of these texts are that they come with the traditional commentaries and sub-commentaries. So very useful for the students of philosophy. That's one part. Now, this same thing almost on a simultaneous basis was being done by Sri Yatindra Ramanujacharya, who was not the original Ramanujacharya, but Tridandi Swami in that tradition. So he was a medical doctor by profession, and he also did almost a similar thing. So he was working in this area, and he created something called as the Balarama Dharma Sopan, and his publications were basically aimed at translating the Dravida Vedas in the Sri Vaishnava tradition into Bengali. So he did that. He translated the Tiruvaimoi and other texts. And so I'm just showing an example of one of his works. This is the Gita Bhashya of Sri Ramanujacharya that he translated. And there are many other such, I think 50 or 60 works he translated. This is one idea. So why are we talking about these translations? Now, he is a Bengali sadhu who is a Tridandi Swami, and to propagate the philosophy, he's taking things from the south. He's not only keeping himself limited to translating the Sanskrit texts, he's also translating the texts that were originally written in Old Tamil. So he did that. And there is also a lesson to learn here. So this is very similar. So what Mahaprabhu's vision was, there is a similarity that I see here. So we see that sarve prapattehe adhikarinah. So everybody is an adhikari to prapatti, and therefore we should reach out to these people. In fact, in our own tradition, among the 12 direct disciples of Sri Ramanandacharya, Kabir Das, Ravi Das, and some other people, Pipaji, all of these people came from communities which would traditionally be not part of a Vedantic parampara per se. So that was one thing. And almost a similar function, maybe a century later, was being done by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then much later by Srila Prabhupada and his disciplic succession. So they were doing that. Now, I mean, we were talking, the agenda was to talk about inter-sampradaya dialogue, right? So, I mean, I will just talk about that. So, what does the Bhaktamala teach us? So, there is a very interesting part to it. So, Bhaktamala has this very interesting characteristic that it takes the lives of different bhaktas from different traditions. And it is caste agnostic or jati varna agnostic in that particular sense. It is region agnostic, so it does not really it is not biased against a certain region, and it is not also biased in terms of the doctrine that is followed. So that is why it also happens to be a very popular text. And what is the text doing? Let me go here. If you just look at, this is from the Bhaktamala edition that happens to be in Hindi, you look at the names that are there. So Namadev ji, he is from the Varkari tradition of Maharashtra. Jayadev Goswami is the author of the Gita Govinda. Sridhari Tikakar Sri Sridharacharya ji. Bilva Mangala Thakur, also who was introduced by Sri Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He popularized the Krishna Karnamritam. And Sri Vishnu Puri ji and Sri Vallabhacharya ji and other Acharyas. So you see a region agnostic, doctrine agnostic representation in the Bhaktamala. So that kind of seeped in our own tradition, and we have been working around that. I mean, that has been the focus of our tradition thereafter, basically. So what would be the lessons that maybe the Madhva Gaudiya traditions and also the other Vaishnava traditions can take? And I personally I'm a votary of this. So center exemplars, not polemics. So polemics, there would be some difference or the other, but if you have, see, the life or the tapasya or the tyaga of a bhakta is always attractive to a genuine seeker. Now that should be the main focus initially. You can always talk about workshops and other things on technical aspects, but to make sure that the masses get to accept each other's views or at least not hate each other, it's important to focus on exemplary lives. Also, there are things like a shared memory to create shared identity. So there are interactions that different sampradayas had among themselves in the past, and we can talk about the more happier incidences rather than incidences which maybe had taken an ugly turn. So that's one part. And the other, as Sir had mentioned in the last session, we need to institutionalize plural reading cultures. So one place where we can do this, as in Sir was talking about the spread of Vaishnavism in Bengal, Bengal still has this, I mean, whatever the current situation may be, has something called as the Namahatta and the Hari Sabha, which is almost there in all localities. So that could be one focal point from where we could start, maybe, I mean, if not possible to do the entire reading of a Tatvavada text, but at least maybe some sections of Sumadhva Vijaya could be discussed in these so-called popular places. Maybe a Madhva Katha could be a good way to bring this idea, to popularize the teaching. So in the same way, I think, so that's one thing that could be done in terms of Bengal, because in Bengal, more than institutions, these things remain in small pockets. So it helps to take things at a simpler level, do a more popular thing at a granular level, and then gradually institutionalize the teachings and provide them to the people. So that was one idea. What have we been doing? So it's all right, it's all in the recommendation thing. So people may ask, what are you people doing in that case? So taking cue from our own guru, Sri Sitaram Das Onkarnathji, who also happens to be the teacher of Dr. Arindam Chakrabarti, who has been associated with this tradition. He also happened to learn some Tatvavada texts under Vyasaraja Mat Swamiji. So what did he do? So what did Sri Onkarnath Dev do? He translated the works of Sri Ramanandacharya, and the first Bengali translation of Ramcharitmanas came from our tradition. Apart from that, he also prepared a translation of Sahasra Giti, which is a Sri Vaishnava text from the southern tradition, part of the Dravidian canon, the Dravida Veda. So he did that. He also founded the Arya Shastra series to publish scriptures and translations. Now this is the Arya Shastra edition of the Vishnu Purana. I'll just take one more minute. So this is one thing that he did. He did it for the Mahabharata. So just like you have the Gita Press and the other editions, this is the edition that we have in Bengal, and this is considered as a more technically correct translation. So he did it for the Vishnu Purana, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavata, and many other texts, also the Smriti Granthas, by the way. So that's one part. Now, what is why should we even collaborate? Because we have something common among all of us, right? I mean, Shuddhahar, Sadachara, and discipline in Upasana. So these three things are common to us, and this could be our common point, as in it's easy to organize a conference among Vaishnavas for the same reason, I believe, because all of these things are the same. And there is this other thing, which is the dharma of Kali Yuga, which is Nama Sankirtana, which Acharya has quoted, which is talked about in Sri Krishnamrita Maharanava. So he talks about the importance of Harinama Smarana. What can we do to address all of these issues? So Harinama Sankirtana, core Vaishnava tenets, could be one thing in which we can all collaborate. What else? So Dr. Pratosh made a point on institutional challenges. So we have talked about these ideas. So we have created something called as Sri Sitarama Swadhyaya Samsthanam, and you would be happy to know that Pramana Lakshanam of Sri Madhvacharya has been translated already into Hindi. We are in the process of, and with some Hindi commentary based on the Tika of Sri Jayatirtha. So we are in the process of sending that to press. That's one thing. At some point of time, I mean, that would be done. I mean, I'm still working on some parts now. And also the key treatises of Sri Ramanujacharya and Sri Ramanandacharya. And also an introductory volume in Bengali. So this is the first introductory volume on Tatvavada, which almost follows a similar line as B.N.K. Sharma's work, has been completed. It was done by my Diksha Acharya, Dr. Loknath Chakrabarti, and is being prepared for publication. So these are parts of it. But yeah, so Dr. Pratosh, as I am coming back to his point again and again, and this is very important for all of us to realize that that's one part is to engage with science, but what about social policy? An experiment that I did. So I teach at Madras School of Economics, and when I was studying Tatvavada under Dr. Srinidhi V, I always had this question that how do we bring this to practice, or maybe can we create a social experiment based on these ideas? So he was teaching us the Taratamya Stotra at that point of time. And then this question came about the Yogyata. And I thought, okay, can we use this to create a new student evaluation framework? As in, students can also be graded as the best, the medium, or the worst. Of course, the Lord knows the the Yogyata of each jiva. That is the tenet. But how does a teacher know in that case? The teacher can know that in the form of weekly tests. So what I did as an experiment in this semester, actually, I was teaching a course in statistics and programming. I divided the whole thing into the whole pedagogy of teaching into 3 weekly tests, after which maybe 2 weeks later you would have your first internal assessment. So 3 weekly tests are not graded, but you can get the average score which a student is attaining. So by which you can gauge what kind of the student this person is. And if you have that idea, if you have that gradation based yogyata for the student, can you therefore see, based on his or her yogyata, and adjusting the teaching accordingly, in the internal examinations or in the external examinations, can you therefore make sure that they reach at least the highest attainable levels according to their yogyata? So if I see that the student belongs to maybe the C category and cannot go beyond 60 out of 100, can I help that student to reach this? I did that experiment, and so what I saw is this also works from an inclusive perspective. As in, the student knows that I am not being pushed to become the topper, but at least this teacher is helping me to attain something which is good enough for my level. And once the student somewhat goes to that level, now asks for more. So internal, when I saw that some of these students were actually doing good according to their so-called gradation-based yogata, I did see that some of them reached out to me personally and saying that, sir, we want to do more, can you give us some research project as well? So this, I think, was my own way of applying the Tatvavada teaching in a more practical setup. And I believe that this becomes more important for us, because physics, chemistry, maths is something that only is a scientifically trained cream, or maybe the few minority people are going to look at, and that's important. But gradation and other things, given that we had NEP recently, it becomes important that can we make NEP grade grounded in our own traditions. So
what is the inclusivity of Tatvavada in your framework?
So that is what I was talking about.
No, but it is available in
Applying the
modern pedagogy
basic
also.
ideas. Applying the basic ideas.
It is available in modern pedagogy also.
Not modern pedagogy.
Modern pedagogy also teaches you.
He is trying to apply Taratamya before the test happens.
Yeah, so before the actual grade-based test happens, this is being applied on non-graded tests. So you get A, B, C.
Multiple tests are there.
Test before test. But the thing is that when I grade the student, it is not based on, so because many of these autonomous institutions that I come from are free in terms of grading. We do not really have to follow that format. So what we can do is, if I realize that a person he should have gotten 60 and is getting a 54, so I give him 54 by 60 and 90. So he is getting that. Now that pushes up the grades in one sense, but yeah, I mean, it's actually in the experimental stage, so it's just one semester.
What
Yeah.
modern pedagogy had detached itself with,
Huh.
but you are trying to re-establish it.
Yeah, yeah.
20 years back it was like that, but now it is actually.
I think he is hitting the dilemma of the Vedantic schools. Except for prior to Madhvacharya, the idea of Vedantic schools is everyone is eligible for the topmost. Whereas Madhvacharya's introduction of gradation. Similarly, he is sitting at that even among his students, there are gradations which I accept. I don't want to push the lowest one to the highest, but at least within his level.
Exactly. Because otherwise, I have seen a lot of students even at a master's level, and these are not students from some poor background, coming from some really well-off students, realizing that, oh, I'm not as good as this guy, and they will just drop out of the master's program. So the idea was to keep students in a more technical course. So I teach a quant finance and the data science program. So the idea was that how to keep student in the course. Yeah. So this is one experimental thing that I did, because I always believe that when so this is what I learned from my teacher, Dr. Srinidhi V, that what engaging with the Tika, Mula is there, but what engaging with the Tika does is, it also, if you are honest about it and you are doing it following your own spiritual regime and other things, it also gives you insights about life. It's not just about dialectics. And if it is claimed to be giving insights about life, then I should be able to apply it. And I have personally done it at many instances, but this is one social experiment that I did, that's all. Yeah. With this, I would like to conclude the talk. I have taken a lot of time, so apologies. Okay. Yeah, sure. This one? Huh.
Lessons from Bhaktamala, and practically it is the practice of Assam and Bengal.
So this was written by Nabhadas ji, and kind of contains the biographies of saints from different traditions. That is why it is very popular. So just like Ramcharitmanasa Patha, there is Bhaktamala Patha.
Rajasthan.
Yes.
From Rajasthan.
Yes.
Personally, I did not read Bhaktamala, but Bhaktamala is a very popular katha in North India. Earlier saints.
Sure. This is one illustration of what names generally come in the Bhaktamal. This is where we talk about Bhaktamal, as in how can we talk about including different sampradayas. Now the next slide, sorry, this is a repetition, sorry for this. Then there is a slide on the Ramananda tradition, so why Prapatti basically. And then illustrations of translation projects that happened in the past in Bengal, as in, so I've given some photos here. And then this is, so there is, as I said, there would be a confusion between the original Ramanujacharya and this sadhu. This is a Tirtha Swami, and he basically created this organization and almost got all of the Tamil canonical texts of Sri Vaishnavism and the Sanskrit text translated into Bengali. So that was also a tough thing to do at that point of time, because Tamil Ucharana, how do you convert that to Bengali? It's very difficult. So, yeah.
Even though people are doing it now, the Nepali people are reading.
Yeah. Nepalis can do, but in Bengali, it's difficult to do. We don't say we say o. So how do you address that?
Can you please go to slide number 3?
Yeah, sure. Slide number 3. Okay, slide number 3. This is this one, right?
No, this is 4.
This one? Previous. Okay. Okay.
This one.
Huh.
Emotion-centered bhakti practice. You have said Raganuga bhakti, isn't it?
Yeah. So sorry for the translation. Yeah.
But this is Ragatmika bhakti. Raganuga bhakti is something else.
Okay.
Raganuga and Ragatmika
Huh.
are very much different. A lot of differences are there. So emotion-centered is not.
Okay, that would.
That is Ragatmika.
Okay.
This is Ragatmika. That is Raganuga.
Ah.
Raganuga is something else.
And then I thought of this because of the Prabalya of the Madhurya Rasa in both. So I thought, okay, emotion maybe, but okay, I will correct this. Yeah, thanks. Okay.
More devotion-centered.
Okay. So thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity.
So one of the key aspects of this lecture was we should not be carried away by this trying to re-establish our facts with the scientific facts. It's may be important and it may be catered 2% of audience in whole world, but there is lot of vast amount of social science material available in our philosophy and in general syllabus. So there many wrong things are happening now, like we mentioned wokeism, liberalism, free lifestyle, everything is happening. Before countering to this scientific facts, if we counter this fact, then automatically Shraddha will be developed, then we can do whatever we can. Unless if you want to dig deep now, then there will be an agnosticism will be everywhere in this world, where whether I have to believe science or whether I have to believe. Unnecessarily we are creating this science versus Shastra. That is also a very problematic thing. We must not do that. As Vyasatirtha said in his work, that we must first create the Shraddha. Then this Pramana, Pramaya system all will work. Otherwise, if there is no Shraddha, this whole thing will perish. It will perish. So how to create Shraddha is also wonderfully explained by Sumanjay Datta with different kind of mentions of institutionalization of our rituals. So thank you, Sumanjay Datta. Now I request our chairperson to deliver his. Ananta, valedictory session. Allah, valedictory session, we will arrange for valedictory session. There itself, Acharya, you can give the, in valedictory session itself, you can give the conclusion remarks. Valedictory session? No, now itself. No, now itself. No, now itself it will happen. We will rearrange this. According to your... We will do 5 minutes bhajan. 5 minutes bhajan and then we will have... valedictory session. Okay.
Founder Acharya of ISKCON, he went to England. Then one reporter asking him, Swamiji, why you came to England? Then Prabhupada telling all England people, everything taking from India, but one thing's forget taking. I came to give these things. Then also, our Gurudev also, by order of Srila Prabhupada, 1996, also he went to West to preach Sanatana Dharma. Then he also telling, I came, one time he speaking in very big public, he told, actually I came, you not think I came from very poor India. I came actually from very, very wealthy India. This wealth not available here. That's why I came to give this. Then you will be happy. That's why we now, this discussion we see real actually, like Socrates, Aristotle, nothing like from front of this, all our Acharyas, Vaishnavacharya's philosophy, this knowledge. That's why this is also very important to discuss, because Jiva Goswami also one time he's telling one shlok, he telling Siddhanta boleya nakoro alas iha hoite Krishna lagi suri damanas. It's very important. Shri Madhvacharya ji, he actually gives this, defeats this impersonal philosophy. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took shelter of his sampradaya actually, one of reason. Because he very happy, because bhakti without this foundation no working, like Siddhanta like foundation of a bhakti. Otherwise it's only sentiment. That's why also Archan, this he accepting this Archa Vigraha like Sachitananda, he's Sachitananda. That's why it is very important. Also, that's why we very happy to hear all things. Our mind become very steady. Otherwise, all kirtan, our kirtan will be like sentiments only. But also same time, philosophy need this Harer Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. Kalaunaste evanaste evagatir anyatha. Kali Yuga में केवल नाम आधारस. That's why this we want to do some kirtan. Please bless us. We will continue our bhakti because we from very low background. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Namo Mahavadanya he came to give very big wealth to very low people. That's why he Namo Mahavadanya. If he be giving something to he give very valuable things from his treasure to very low people. That's why we abdominant form this. Also Vaishnava's kripa very important. That's why please bless us also for continue our bhakti, our this study all this philosophy. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Srila Madhvacharya ki jai. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaura Hari ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Aradhanam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param tasmat parat param devi tadiyanam samarchanam. This word tadiya, very important. This Jaya Sachinandana, 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 Jaya Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Madhvacharya, Madhvacharya, Jaya Madhvacharya. 1 minute. ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ. ನಮ್ಮ ದಾಸ ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಮಾಧ್ವಾಚಾರ್ಯ ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ ನಂತರ ನಮ್ಮ ಹರಿದಾಸ ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರೊಬ್ಬರು ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಗೆ ಹರಿ ಎನ್ನಿರೆಂಬೋ ಕಾಗದ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತ. ಪುರಂದರದಾಸರಿಗೆ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಕಾಗದದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನನಗೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಕಾಗದ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತ. ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಗೆ ಹರಿ ಎನ್ನಿರೆಂಬೋ ಕಾಗದ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಗೆಜ್ಜೆ ಕಾಲು ಕಟ್ಟಿರೆಂಬೋ ಕಾಗದ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಹರಿನಾಮ ಕೀರ್ತನ ನಡೆಯುವಾಗ 2 ಕೈ ಎತ್ತಿ ಮೇಲೆ ನೃತ್ಯ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅತಿ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠವಾದದ್ದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲರಲ್ಲೂ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಹರಿನಾಮ ಕೀರ್ತನೆ ಆಗ್ತಾಯಿದೆ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು 1 ನಿಮಿಷ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ ಹಾಲು ಬಿಸಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕುಡಿಬೋದು. ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ.
Prabhuji, first disciple of our Gurudev in here in Bangalore. Prabhuji.
No, that's okay. Not about me. We'll speak about Harinam.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare. Everybody, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Govinda bolo Hari Gopal bolo. Govinda bolo Hari Gopal bolo. Govinda bolo Hari Gopal bolo. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda bolo. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda bolo. Govinda bolo Hari Gopal bolo. Govinda bolo Hari Gopal bolo. Radhe Radhe bajo Shyam Radhe. Radhe bajo Shyam Radhe. Bajo Radhe bajo Shyam Radhe. Bajo Radhe Shyam bajo Radhe. Govinda bolo Hari Gopal bolo.
Govinda bolo Hari Gopal bolo.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda bolo.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda bolo.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare
प्रेम से बोले Jayo Madhvacharya, Jayo Madhvacharya, Madhvacharya, Jayo Madhvacharya.
Jaya Madhvacharya, Jaya Madhvacharya, Madhvacharya, Jaya Madhvacharya.
Jayo Madhvacharya, Jayo Madhvacharya, Madhvacharya, Jayo Madhvacharya.
Jaya Madhvacharya, Jaya Madhvacharya, Madhvacharya, Jaya Madhvacharya.
Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gora Hare, Saparshada Shira Gora Hare.
Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gora Hare, Saparshada Jaya Gora Hare.
Nitya Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, 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 Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Nitya Gaur Premanande,
Hari Hari,
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Naam Sankirtan ki jai, Patita Pavan Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Shri Madhvacharya ki jai, Charidan Chari Acharya Char Sampradaya ki jai, Tribhuna Mangalakari Yoga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan Mahayagna ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.